You are now listening to the Sae Bae Cast, the #1 old school RuneScape podcast featuring guests from all across Galanor. To support this podcast, visit the Patreon link in the description.
All right, welcome to the Sae Bae Cast number 119 with Nine Rain. Nine Rain, how are we doing?
What's up, everybody? Dude, I'm doing well. I spent all day watching my nephew. We hung out, and it was a good time. And, I'm ready to sit down and talk about... I don't know what we're going to talk about, but I think I'm game.
Yeah, we're just going to talk. Okay, so I got to say something.
Yep.
You were the first real-life content creator I ever saw. Did you know that?
What?
Well, first, like, IRL, like, OSRS. Like, yeah, when I saw you at the airport, you were the first person.
Airport?
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, besides my friend Ryan, I got to give him a shout out. He was living in Alabama and he invited me out. But he's like a kind of like a part-time, just stream whenever kind of guy. But yeah, you were the first like real creator that I saw in real life. So that was
sick.
A cool experience.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware you'd never been to like a Rune Fest or a TwitchCon or anything like that.
Never had. So yeah, seeing you at the airport, and I thought you were like 6'5". I'll be honest. Like I just thought you were like.
I get that a lot. Well, you know what's weird? People tell me this maybe more often than I would like, but I don't really know what to take. Okay, I'm 5'10", and the amount of times that I meet someone and they go, "Huh, I thought you'd be taller." I'm like, what is? I think it's because. I think it's just a being on camera thing.
It has to be that. I think it's the energy that people produce. I think you put off tall guy energy, and I'm gonna just bring in like a counter example. And this is not trying to be offensive at all. It's literally when I saw Puggin streaming, I thought he was like 5'7". When I saw Coxie, I thought he was like 5'8". When I saw
Puggin is very tall, right?
Yeah, they're both like 6'4". Huh. They're literally like, I think Coxie's like 6'2" or 6'3", but Puggin's like 6'4", literally. And I don't know what it is, but I just cannot tell. I'm the worst at guessing people's height. I literally am when it's just like a frontal view of them on camera. I can't ever guess it right. So.
Yeah.
I also thought Tasty would be taller than he is. Tasty, I swear to God.
Okay, Tasty is taller than he looks in person.
No, I don't think so. Well, I think
because Tasty's like 6'2", right?
Okay, literally he says he's like 6'2 3/4". Bullshit. I'm literally calling bullshit on that. I think he's literally 6'1". I think he's actually 6'1".
But he's like 30. He's like 30 or 40% neck and head. That brother's like, if you made a bust of Tasty, he has the bust of a 7'1" guy. He is all bust. Yeah, like that brother's neck, shoulders, traps, and head are substantial, bro.
Yeah. Who was calling? He woke up like the second morning when we were at the house, and somebody was like, I think it was Tasty that somebody was calling him a neck reel because his legs were just like
a neck reel.
It's like the neck reel so legs,
good, bro.
Yeah.
No way. And he doesn't have small legs either. The dude can lift. He doesn't skip leg day. He's just got such enormous trap shoulders and head and neck. And it's skeletal. It's not that he's like skimping on half the workouts. It's just his build.
Yeah, no, if he eats, he's getting big. Like he's getting like just
like
that
he's
good
a
weight.
Decent Slayer task.
Yeah. No, yeah, mid-level, mid-high level, yeah.
Slayer task. He drops a lot of herbs.
Yeah.
So
what would he drop as an NPC if you just killed a bunch of Tasties?
I think he would.
He'd drop meat pizzas. He'd have the blood film drop table.
the blood film. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you're definitely grinding him for herbs and seeds on an Iron Man, and you're probably skipping that task on a main account.
Just set up your cannon.
He is not good XP.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But I will say, this is gonna, I'm gonna prop you up a little bit. You are jacked, my friend. Yeah, for those that have not seen Nine Rain in person, this man is jacked and he takes care of himself. I was impressed.
It's been a big part of my life, well, forever. I've always been athletic. I've really enjoyed physical activities and sports and all of those things. And I started working out when I was, I think, 13. Not heavily. Like, I wasn't doing barbell workouts at the age of 13. But I started when I was 13. And especially the past, I was in really good shape in college. After college, I kind of kept up with it. And then I injured myself, had a string of injuries that basically put me into, I was doing physical therapy. I had torn a rotator cuff. I had separated my shoulder, and I had, these are separate injuries, and I had dislocated a couple of my ribs along the sternum. And so kind of like tore some of those ligaments and tendons. Like it was a pretty bad injury. And so I couldn't even do a push-up for about 6 months.
Oh, God.
I couldn't hold my baby, I'm like 1-year-old baby nephew with my right hand specifically. I don't know what I did fully to injure myself, but anyways, so was doing a lot of physical therapy, really like tedious, not very rewarding feeling workouts. Mm-hmm. But the base that gave me to come back into getting back into shape and doing more heavyweight barbell stuff, some calisthenics, and all, was, I mean, you could not put a price on it. I would recommend that to anybody. So I've been having a ton of fun the past year, getting into really good shape. So I appreciate the comment. It was a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
And it's very fun for me. So I can't complain either.
That's good. Yeah. What about because there's one thing to say about enjoying working out and enjoying exercise and enjoying just being active. But then there's one thing with just the strict diet. It's obviously, if you're really active, you don't have to be extremely strict, but you still have to be consistent with just not indulging as much as as most people would like. So how is that for you?
So I've always had I've done a lot of very extreme diets in my life. And not like fad diets, but trying to find a lifestyle that really worked for me and something that I wanted to continue doing. I studied nutrition ravenously after college. And I mean, even for an entire year, I ate probably 80% raw vegan, so raw fruits and vegetables. And then the other 20% was cooked fruits and vegetables. And that was mostly because I would make some exceptions for social activities or a holiday or whatever, just because it was so much work. And I hated to be that guy at every event. I was like, nope, I'm not going to eat anything. That was by far the most extreme diet I've done. So yeah, I got really disciplined with it and pretty good at, dieting and being, disciplined in that regard. And let me tell you, brother, if you're trying to get into shape, 70% of it's going to be your diet. Mm-hmm. If you're trying to look good, it's insane how quickly you can see results with a very restrictive diet. I don't restrict calories. That's another thing that I'll say. I restrict the types of food that I'm putting in my body. And when I'm doing it, I've been a huge fan of intermittent fasting and fasting in general for 5 years now. And restricting those things when I eat and the kinds of foods that I eat, as opposed to just counting calories, I've seen really good results for myself. So
yeah, and it shows. So intermittent fasting, and then you said fasting as well. Do you do other types of fasts alongside your intermittent fasting?
I've done 24-hour or 48-hour or 72-hour fasts. I've done water fasts. I've done juice fasts. I've done extended intermittent fasting periods where I'm going eating for 4 hours on and then 20 off for a couple days in a row before loosening it up again. Yeah, I've done all kinds of stuff like that. I love fasting. It's difficult.
Yeah, it is.
But you do
I suck at it.
you do get better at it, and your body gets used to it. And I also really enjoy the not just the physical, but the mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects of fasting. That again, like, it's challenging, but come on, we do so many challenging things in life. I feel like that was an arena that I found to be extremely resourceful and really within your control, because there's a lot of stuff in your life that is out of your control, but the foods that you put in your body, you can really take control of that. And so I think that was another thing that, really appealed to me.
That's awesome. Yeah, you've had a lot of, I guess, I mean, you are older. You're
31. Yep,
yeah,
I'll be
31.
32 at the end of the year.
Yeah, so you definitely have that like extra wisdom that, over just people I talk to associate with. You do seem to just have that more mature vibe. And if you've gone through all your 20s now, so you're, entering your 30s and just.
Yeah, well, and my 20s were rough and I learned a lot. So like, especially my early 20s, man, so I often feel extremely grateful that I really screwed up a lot early on in my 20s. Rather than doing that later in life, I kind of front loaded a lot of my problems and problem solving. Single dude living alone, like no one was depending on me. So my mistakes weren't as costly for other people. Mm-hmm. So that I'm very fortunate in that regard.
Yeah, that is nice when nobody else is affected. Really, it's just literally just you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how have your 30s been? Like, do you? I guess this is going to be a little bit of projection as well,
Yep.
but I'm kind of looking forward to my 30s because it's just a fresh decade where I'm like, okay, I can just put everything behind me. In fact, tomorrow's my birthday and it already feels like 28.
Oh,
It's
no
like,
way, dude.
It almost feels like tomorrow is going to be like a refresh of like 27 and younger, and now I'm entering 28, but 30 is really going to be that like, I'm hoping.
I've heard for I don't know who told me this. Take this for what you will, but I was told by a man that I respect a lot, that a lot of life for young men really comes in like 4-year cycles, these chunks of different seasons in life. And I think you can view most seasons, most parts of your life, whether you chop it up into a day, a week, a year, or groups of years, in seasons. And I really like the kind of wisdom that offers, because it allows you to take life as it is. And so sometimes life's going really well, sometimes it's not. But in multiple different arenas in your life, things could be going good and bad at the same time. And so there's always this like push and pull of these different, cycles in your life. But there's this man, his name was Elliot Hulse. He used to have a workout and like strength training channel. And then it turned into kind of life coaching. Anyways, I did a couple of camps with him and a bunch of other men. This was in my 20s. And anyways, he told me life comes in, for young men, comes in cycles of 4 years. And so, hey man, maybe 28's like a new cycle for you.
That's true, actually.
In fact, and if I had to ask you to sum up your last 4 years and what you think and what you're kind of intuiting for the next 4 years, if you had to kind of understand them for yourself.
Ooh, I like this. Okay, so literally 4 years ago, 4 years and like, I guess 4 years and 5 months ago, I started streaming. That's when like, it really does feel like 4 years ago really was like another portion of my life, which is really ironic that you're saying like the whole 4 year thing, because it really does feel like that way already. But yeah, that's when I started streaming. I finally, like, I dropped out of school. That's not the finally I dropped out of school. It's not like I was preparing for that, but I did drop out of school and I just started streaming, and that felt, honestly, I don't know if I've talked about this on the cast, but it felt like I hit rock bottom in like, not to be like, it wasn't necessarily a negative thing. It was just, I don't have anything going for me at this point. It felt like I had nothing going for me. And I also just kind of, distanced myself from a lot of my friends, and a lot of the reason was because like, you drop out of school, like what are you supposed to say? Like hey, I'm playing RuneScape to 3 people online, you know?
Yeah.
So that distancing kind of happened, and it helped me to just really think of like what I wanted in life and like what I valued and what I wanted from my life. And then I just made a bunch of mistakes, and of course there was like a lot of happiness as well, but I could just make mistakes, like you were saying, completely freely without affecting anybody else, and really learning for myself what was going to make me happy and what was going to be like fulfilling in my life. So,
yeah. And you said that when that period where you thought you hit rock bottom, did that happen before streaming, or was that kind of like while you're streaming, like for a couple months you felt like very lost? Or?
That was the first few months of streaming.
Okay.
Yeah, because I really wanted to put all my eggs into one basket and just start streaming. And I swear, it was like 3 solid months of me streaming 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And I was still pulling 3 to 4 viewers.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, this isn't happening. Like this, I'm clearly not cut out for this.
Did you strategy change after that, or what happened?
Honestly, okay, so it was, I think part of it, something that helped was changing my schedule, because initially I was streaming like 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. or like to 4 p.m. basically. It was literally like a day job. I treated it as a day job, and it was just so much harder to grow. And so I realized, like, okay, if I change out my schedule a little bit, like what if I stream at night, and just stream for like the degens? Like, how would that work? And it immediately just helped. Like immediately doubled my viewers, just because.
Wow, because people are just home and able to watch.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that helped. And then also just, I don't know, it just didn't feel like I had any, I started thinking this can only go up, I literally can't like go down because I'm at like the lowest point basically. So this can only go up. And I started like just being more optimistic about it. I'm like, you know what, let me just try to have fun. Let me just try to, I don't know what it was. It's really hard to like explain these things into words, but I think I just had like a period in my life where I was like, I'm just going to treat this as fun, because I really am having fun. I was enjoying RuneScape, and even though the viewers weren't coming that I wanted, I was just like, I'm just going to have a bunch of fun. And then that's when I started seeing more people like rating me, and then it all started just kind of snowballing. And of course it was ups and downs. Streaming is never just like a forward trend. So I think it was just trying to enjoy it more rather than treating it as a job.
And so to bring it back to the question, what was that 4 years like for you? Like if you had to give it an archetype or a title, like if it or the name of the movie or something.
I would say I would probably say like experiencing life for myself rather than, and I know that's not like super eloquent, but like I needed to experience it myself and not take people's word for things. Like, oh, don't do this, don't do this. I'm like, I need to literally just do it myself to know.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. So
cool. So you feel that chapter is closing. What's the next one?
I think the next one is really like finding myself and getting into these routines and stuff, because I've discovered what isn't working and what does work, and now it's like putting it really into practice and like actually doing it rather than just thinking like, oh, I'm gonna do this one day. It's like, okay, let me just actually start putting these things into practice. And I've slowly started doing that. It's never just like instantaneous, but I think that is gonna be like these next 4 years is like really starting to drill in like healthy habits and just
cool.
Yeah. So
cool.
Implementation, I'll say.
Hey man, well, happy early birthday. Where are you in the world? What time zone?
I'm in Oregon, Eugene, Oregon.
Okay, so it's a little earlier there than it is here. So is it 6:30?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering if we were gonna go up until your birthday, but we're not. Hey, maybe if we go for the next 3.5 or
6.
No, wait, 5
we need to go for
hours.
6. Yeah, we need to go for 5.5 hours more right now.
All right. So maybe let's not make this a birthday cast, but if we make it there, I'll tell you happy birthday, and then I'll leave immediately.
I appreciate it. Yeah, but I'm excited, and it's crazy because it feels like my 27th birthday was yesterday. It's actually such a scary thought, just scary in not like a bad way, but just like time literally can just fly by if you're, I don't know, it just does fly by.
Yeah, dude. I've been I'm at the age where, like, I think it's part of it is I'm always anticipating the next year and thinking ahead. When people ask me how old I am, I have to think about it. Mm-hmm. I'm like, dude, did I turn 31 yet? Am I 32 already? Like, I don't. Sometimes I seriously have to sit there and go, oh God, I don't know. But
Yeah.
I don't know what that's. Maybe that's just a me thing.
No, that happens.
All 31-year-olds.
It feels like 6 months after you just turned a different age. It's like that's like the adjustment period of like, oh wait, I'm this old now. I'm this old.
Yeah,
and then you finally get used to it, and then all of a sudden, it's your next birthday.
Yeah, but by 6 months in, I'm already looking forward to the future and being like, hey, I'm gonna be 32 this year because that's what it is for me. It's since it's a December birthday. I both think I am 31 and I'm going to be 32 this year. So I don't know.
That actually makes sense because I always think it in 6 month intervals because my birthday's in June. So it's like, interesting. Yeah. So I gotta say, as well, it was just a blast being in like a space where I was just with a bunch of content creators. Like just being in Tennessee, being in that cabin was just amazing. And
Tennessee was very fun.
It was.
And I'm glad we got that. How long hour drive up?
It was about 4 hours. Yeah.
That was fun.
That was nice. Yeah. You taught me a lot too. We were going into like the personality tests and stuff.
Yeah. I'm kind of, yeah. That's been one of my favorite things I think I'm always kind of learning something. I've always got some field, whether it's nutrition or psychology or philosophy or something that I'm, really trying to learn a lot in. Mm-hmm. The personality types and not only the psychology of it, but the sociology, I really enjoy. That was something in psychology that's always been really fun for me. So yeah, I can kind of just ramble on those subjects. So that was not hard for me to fill however many hours in a car talking about the big 5 personality traits, that kind of thing.
That car drive flew by, and that was also my first time going to Buc-ee's. That was cool.
Oh, okay, yeah. See, I'm not a fanatic because it's a gas station. So like, what am I gonna say? It is the best gas station.
Oh yeah, it was
by
dope.
far,
dude. I literally would see. So I lived in Texas for a little bit, and I would see Buc-ee's. I just never went there because I was like, oh, that place is gonna suck. Yeah, that place is amazing. It was so clean too.
It's very clean and it's got a lot of shit.
Yeah.
So I'll say it again. Big fan of Buc-ee's? No. I like Buc-ee's. Not a fan. Yeah. It's weird if you're a fan of a gas station. If you have a Buc-ee's shirt, you should probably think about it for a little while.
I'm just thinking of, I think it was Tim Dillon on a pod. I think it was on Lex Friedman's podcast, and you're just talking about Buc-ee's, and they're talking about like smart people or something like that. And he's just like, have you ever just seen a person eating their Buc-ee's nuggets? Like, that person doesn't give a fuck about like anything that's going on. They just want their Buc-ee's nuggets. Something about Buc-ee's just reminds me of just the simple life. It's like, dude, you're just having a good time. You just go to your Buc-ee's, get your Buc-ee's nuggets, whatever the hell those even are. And
I don't even know what a Buc-ee's nugget is.
I don't either. He said it though, so I'm like, okay. But yeah, when I think of Buc-ee's, I think of like living the good, simple life where you just you're carefree.
Like that song by Zach Brown Band, Toes, where he's just hanging out on the beach with his toes in the water.
Yeah, it would be exactly like that. Yeah,
that's a good song.
Yeah. Yeah, something about the carefree life, just enjoying your life, being a good person, and just not making a big deal. I overthink shit a lot, and it's like, dude, I wish I could just have that. Just wake up and enjoy the day,
I've when I was early 20s, maybe I'm talking like 20, 19, 20. There was a period in time where I was trying to figure out how to be happy. And I tried to do the whole, like, live on a beach, no worries, like, no goals, just getting by, really living in the moment kind of thing. You know, you treat the people around you with respect and care, you know, engage with your immediate surroundings. Don't worry about the future. Forgive and forget the past kind of mentality. It did not work for me, dude. I got so anxious and bothered, and I hated it. I was so unhappy, bro. I don't.
No, I don't.
I was so unhappy. I'll just leave it at that.
No, I don't think
that. I hated it.
I don't think everybody can even do that. Like, I don't think I could do it. I'm envious of the people that can do it and make it work because it's just them. Like, it's just who they are. Everyone's so different, and I think there is a way for like every personality type and like everybody's, you know, brain chemistry or whatever everybody could have that good life, but it's just so different among people.
Yeah, I won't go on too big of a tangent here. But
go for it, even if it is.
There's actually, I don't know if you remember me talking about this. There's actually one of the big 5 personality traits. Conscientiousness can be subdivided into 2 others, orderliness and industriousness. Industriousness, and this is part of your personality. You're born with it. It's pretty stable across time. And by pretty, I mean very stable across time. Industriousness is a negative dimension of personality where basically it's a negative emotion response to not doing anything. So people who are really high in industriousness feel a lot of negative emotion when they're not doing something. And so it's not even that they're positively motivated to do these things. They just feel like a shitty person if they're not busy. And I guess all the people chilling on the beach enjoying life are really low in industriousness. And so they just don't feel the negative emotion that I feel and that most people feel when you're not constantly attending to things.
See, I fucking love that. Like, I love that there's an actual like measurement for this kind of stuff, because I probably am way down on the scale, but I still have a little bit of industriousness because if I were to even just do, if my whole day is record a Sae Bae cast, which today is, I don't have anything else going on today. If I do it though, I feel fulfilled. I feel like I did the thing I need to do, and I'm not like, I'm actually very grateful I'm not super high in industriousness, because I actually did take the test. I don't remember what I scored, but it was definitely below 50%, or whatever. Like, I think was
it puts you into percentile, so yes, it would be.
So it was below that, and I'm just grateful I'm not like 90%, where you have to just be on the ball, do so. Although it probably wouldn't be that big of a deal because I would just be that person.
Right.
But I will say I'm just happy I don't have that like workaholic vibe. I'd be exhausted.
And one thing that's really cool about, one thing I've really enjoyed studying personality, specifically the big 5, is it teaches you to accept, because the data is pretty clear on how stable these characteristics are. So it really does mean that certain people are largely born a certain way. And there is, like, as you grow older and mature, part of what maturing is expanding the range within each of the big 5 personality traits in which you can operate effectively. So part of becoming a mature adult is extroverts learning to be introverted and be by themselves. And part of becoming an adult is people who are low in orderliness learning how to be disciplined and orderly, because that will serve them well in life. So, you know, these things you can practice and through self-discipline, and you can, you know, push the lever, so to speak. But part of what has been so fun about learning this is learning that this is the way you are. And it allows you to accept, you know, what life looks like through your eyes. And so, like you said, maybe you're really pretty low in industriousness. So instead of beating yourself up about it and saying, man, I should be the kind of person that's working 12 hours a day and blah, 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 you can accept that, hey, that's not me and that's not most people, and try and find a lifestyle that works for you.
Yep. Yeah, speaking of lifestyles, I think there was actually a Twitter top here. I'm gonna actually find it. It was talking about being a content creator, and let's see. I guess there's two things on it. Okay, here. Let's read this one. This is from Vipaza. He asks, "What surprised you most about full-time content creation compared to your life as a normal worker?"
Yeah. What surprised me most?
And also, when did you start content creation? Just for people.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll go ahead and give a little backstory and then dive into that one.
Let's get that. Yeah.
Also, before I didn't read any of the Twitter questions. I saw that there were many. I decided not to read them. I maybe should have asked you if you wanted me to or not. But
no, this is off the cuff. That's what the guests really want. They don't want some scripted bullshit. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I had a couple big boy jobs after college. Two, in fact. Like careers. Before doing content creation. I had a YouTube channel in college. So when would that have been? 2012 to 2014 about. And that's kind of where I got my reps in. I did all kinds of content. A lot of it was like Minecraft, League of Legends, a whole bunch of variety. And that's kind of where I went and made all my mistakes and learned the trade, and kind of, got my reps. And I probably put out, I don't know, 70 videos on this other YouTube channel. And then fast forward, I don't know, like 8 years or not, maybe like 5 years. I was working at a company. I was in a game development studio. I was working in the business end. I was about to quit that position, and had started, like, I got the itch again. And I was like, I'm going to start making some YouTube videos just for me. And so I did. I made like 3 or 4 of some other games. Like I made a Rust video, like 2 more League of Legends videos. I don't think I've ever posted those anywhere. They're just on my computer, and I had a great time making them. Sent them to a couple friends. And in fact, I actually made maybe 3 weeks ago, made like 3 more League of Legends videos. I was just playing a couple games with my buddies. And I just kind of got the itch again. And I was like, dude, I'll just make another League video. They're great. I make fantastic League videos. But anyways, I had started doing it again while working. And then when I was still working when I made my first One Kick Rick video. And the decision to create the 9 Rain channel and start making RuneScape videos happened in about a day. I was literally I had started playing the game again, barely, and was watching I don't know what series, and just thought, you know what, I could do this. This looks really fun. And then turned on the recorder and just made One Kick Rick.
Wow.
It was, if I go back and watch it now, I'm like, damn, this is rough. But it had like strokes of genius in it. Like you could tell there was something there. There was some kind of magic happening. But man, my editing style, my pacing, all of that has changed dramatically. But that's how it works. Mm-hmm. So that was early 2019. And then about mid 2019 is when I started doing YouTube full time. And I've been doing it full time ever since. I do a lot of other stuff in my life that I really care about. Mm-hmm. And YouTube comes in phases for me, or I'll call them seasons, where sometimes I'm working like 60, 70 hours a week. And then sometimes I'm working like 25, 30. And I don't know, that's so helpful for me. Because I can really focus, being able to control my own schedule. Mm-hmm. I can really focus on the stuff in life. If life throws something at you, I can like pivot and I can focus on that. Or if I make a big change, like I move or I start a couple big projects, either with my backyard or my personal life, I've had the flexibility to like really dive into those things. So that's a bit how I got here. To answer the question, the thing that surprised me most about full-time content creation, I don't I don't know that I was really surprised by anything. So the surprise part, I'm not sure that anything surprised. Actually, no. Here's what surprised me. The surprising thing about it was that there was nothing surprising. You can treat it like people make all kinds of, like, this is actually important. People make all kinds of exceptions for new industries or new technologies or new platforms. The same principles apply. Just like everything else you learn in life, like wisdom carries over. So a lot of people will talk about YouTube or the algorithm or all of these things that you're kind of the victim of when you're a content creator. That's every business you could ever be a part of. If you build meaningful relationships in business, in YouTube content creation, if you get up and you work hard, and then you check that work to see if it's actually working and producing the results you want, and then if it isn't, you change it and you try a new strategy. That works in YouTube just like in business. If you prioritize creativity in your marketing, and if you prioritize really providing value to your audience, that works in YouTube just like in everything else. So you can, that's the part that people, I remember learning about YouTube and talking to other YouTubers and hearing about the platform, and people would say things that I just remember thinking like, that's so, they would just try to make exceptions for the platform or for YouTube content creation. And I would think to myself, that's not true at all. It's exactly like all the other areas in your life. If you do the right things, it will pay off. And if it's not paying off, it's time to change what you're doing. And so I guess that was surprising, because I remember taking a step back at some point and just being like, damn, like I really am learning a lot about, I could look at the lessons I learned in my other jobs or in my other aspects of life and just apply it to YouTube, and it totally worked.
Yep.
So yeah, I guess that was pretty surprising to me.
I like that you also said, like, building valuable relationships with other people. Like, that never really, it almost seems like, YouTube content creation is just like, or just any sort of content creation, Twitch or anything, you can just do your own thing, but it is so invaluable to just have friends that are in the same pursuit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just completely invaluable. I mean, you just need it basically. And yeah, like you kind of see it with, I don't know, just, it's just good being like having relationships with people like it's like coworkers. I treat my fellow Twitch streamers as coworkers and stuff. That's actually kind of like the vocab that Fat Clouds gave me. He would call me his coworker, and I'm like, what the hell? But I'm like, yeah, technically we kind of are. Yeah, I'm gonna answer the question as well, because I just want to share my thoughts. The thing that surprised me most, I'm totally gonna agree with you, Nine Rain, by the way, that nothing was actually that surprising, but I think if there was something to be surprising, I think it's just I don't know, like, I think what surprised me is that you can just do it. Like, you can just be a content creator. I think that was like the most surprising thing, because it just felt impossible before you do it, It literally feels like, well, at least it did for me. It felt like, this is something that other people are built for. Like, this is not my realm at all. But nobody was, necessarily born to be anything. I mean, you could just do something. And I think doing it and just going out on a limb and trying something new really taught me. And it's also kind of given me a little bit of encouragement for my future. If things aren't working as much as I would like, or something, like, I can always just try something new. Like, just try something new, like, what you live once, like, just go for it. Why not just try something new? And I think that was the surprising thing, is that me wanting to be a content creator, I became a content creator just by doing it.
I will also say another thing. I just realized something that really surprised me. So this is kind of a turn. There was a period, I don't know, about a year ago at this point, where I started getting a lot of attention from girls that I do not know online. I don't know.
Okay, I'm curious now. What?
That one really came out of nowhere, and it went from 0 to like 90.
Not 100, just 90.
Yeah, dude. We're talking miles an hour for all you metric users out there,
Like it
which
matters.
is fast.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, well, 90 kilometers is, that's not that fast, but 90 miles an hour, that's pretty damn fast.
Yeah.
That's over the speed limit, by the way. And so that surprised me. I don't know what changed or why, but all of a sudden, it was a lot of attention. Whether it was DMs or in Discord or Twitter or on my YouTube channel or wherever that there was like a platform. And I don't have too much more to say about it other than it was
Actually,
really surprising.
There's actually a question on this. Furrywall asks, how has it been going with telling e-girls no?
You said furry wall?
Furrywall, yes.
Like a fuzzy wall?
Yeah.
Huh.
Must
Okay.
be.
Well, my guy, it's going great. To be honest, I will say, and this is not personal to any of the ladies who reached out to me, because I think that was a phenomenon that kind of like, we'll say it was archetypal in the fact that it made dramatic sense in the story of my life, but I didn't take it too personally, either about myself or about the girls that were reaching out to me. It's kind of like, it could have been Tiger Woods that was a billionaire and the best golfer, or it could have been somebody else and the same thing would have happened, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, I just totally lost my train of thought. What were we talking about for furry wall?
It was how has it been going telling e-girls no?
Oh, right, telling them no. That actually went really well, and I'll put it this way. I started to. First of all, I didn't know how to handle the attention.
Why is that? Why were you not able to?
Because I actually didn't get. I'd never gotten a ton of attention from girls before, and it was nice
In real
So I
life,
was just
like in real life.
Well,
And so,
yeah. Especially when I was younger, I was a pretty goofy looking kid. So, I mean, I've always been overly confident, maybe obnoxiously so. But it was really undeserved when I was younger, especially. So, anyways, that was kind of like, I just didn't really know what to do with it other than be like, hey, thanks. Like, this is great. Anyways, I ended up actually taking a big break at the beginning of the year from Twitter and social media in general, because I found myself constantly like if I felt negative in my life, if I was bored or I felt some kind of negative emotion, whether it was like confusion or a little bit of insecurity or something, I would just go to Twitter. I just open up my phone and start clicking apps. And it took me a long time to connect those two dots, that's actually what I was doing. It's like people who like binge eat or whatever. You just feel that like negative emotion and you immediately go and like cope. And it was weird because I never thought I would be that kind of person. I've always been very guarded with the way that I use technology. Because I like to feel like a real human being and like a happy little plant. And I love being outdoors and those kinds of things. So I just thought that would have less of a grip on me. And maybe it does, because I know it really has a grip on a lot of people. But I started feeling that like tick. And I connected the dots and I was like, dude, I don't like that this thing has this power over me. I don't like that I'm using it as like a coping mechanism. And I also realized that every time I would go to Twitter, I would feel more negative after. I'm reading a whole bunch of opinions and thoughts, most of which are negative, and people are either complaining or commiserating. And I would leave the experience feeling even worse. And there was a whole bunch of people I don't know.
Yeah,
and
that's
we'll
the
never
worst.
know. So then I was like, okay, this is not good for me. So I actually totally quit Twitter for about a month and a half, 2 months.
Just not even logging in once to
Full
even
stop.
look.
Did not even,
Wow.
nope, didn't check notifications, didn't check messages, nothing. And I figured, you know what, fine, like, it's not going to be a loss. Like, how many really important business opportunities have I had through Twitter or something like that in the past year? Very few. So I was like, it's fine. And it took about 3 days of me, like, I would get that itch. I would open up my phone and I would see the spot where the app was, and I'm like, what the hell is my body doing? Like, this is crazy. It took about 3 days, and then it just went away completely. And it's never come back. I'm very rarely on the platform. And I made some rules when I came back to it. I never scroll or browse. I'm not there to do that. If I go to Twitter, I check my notifications, see if there's anything important or fun or business related, or if I have anything really valuable that I think is valuable to say or offer, then I'll throw it up on the timeline. But other than that, like, it has very dramatically improved the quality of my life. Not only telling the e-girls no, but the e-boys too. I think that everybody should do that to some degree. I really do.
I remember you even sort of talking about this on the car ride up, because I have been noticing just the fact that you said tick, like that whole tick thing. I have that as well. Like, I literally can notice it. And I need to figure out the exact cause of it, but I think a little fast from Twitter would be really nice.
Bro, I highly recommend it, dude.
Do you know what the thing that's the most toxic about Twitter? It's the fact that I can't even have it my way. Like, I can't just follow certain people that I actually want to follow. It's always going to send, hey, this person that you follow likes this account. Look at what they said. And it's like some fucked up shit that I didn't want to see. And I'm like, dude. And there's absolutely no way of getting rid of it. And then the ads that are just nonstop, just garbage that I'm being fed.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, if there was a way to just clear all of that nonsense and just follow the accounts I actually follow and see what they say, this would be such a better experience. But I just don't get that. And so I think I'm going to have to sort of do what you do and literally just check notifications, go to certain accounts that I actually would find valuable in my, quote unquote career, which is like the old school account, because I like actually seeing what's going on there and being somewhat in the know of what's happening. That's another problem. It's like, I almost feel like I need Twitter because I need to be in the know of what's happening, but I really don't. I don't need to be that in the know.
Dude, I mean, I haven't read an update on the old school RuneScape page in about a year. And before that, I hadn't been up to date on them for another year, dude.
See,
so
that's
I'm not saying copy that. I'm not saying that's a good MO. I'm just saying.
Well,
that,
it doesn't affect you as much. Like, for me, it's like that's almost, part of why people watch me. It's like, okay, Sae Bae should be in the know, and when I'm not in the know, it's like I feel bad. I'm like, oh fuck, like I really have kind of built my channel around sort of being in the know and answering people's questions, because people do come to me and like, what are your thoughts on this? And I'm like, I should really know what's going on. But
yeah, well, and fair enough. But my advice would be, especially with Twitter and things that are algorithm driven, which basically means they're just kind of force feeding content that is really digestible to you specifically.
Yep.
Just, I would draw hard lines and just stick it out for like 2 weeks. It's been of so much value to me, dude. The headspace that I didn't know was being congested by social media. It's one of those things where, like, dude, I really had no idea how much it was affecting me until I stopped.
So let me ask you this. What did you do to replace that? Because I feel like with the tick that happens like that, it needs to be replaced by something, or else you could just almost inevitably go back to it.
Yeah. So I would do it in two different ways. One, when I was at my computer working, I would just boom, check it. Boom, check it. I just stopped that completely. I was like, that's just not helping me. It's certainly not helping my productivity. I didn't really need to replace it with anything because I could just not click away from
What you were currently doing.
like from Premiere or from the game or whatever, and I could just keep working. So I didn't really feel the need to replace it there. And whenever I would feel, I'm trying to think what I would do during the day. I mean, what I did whenever I would feel that urge is I would sit and I would think about it. And I would, that moment turned into like a moment of introspection for me where I would go, okay, what just happened that I'm feeling negative that I need to check this thing? And I actually learned a lot about like the little negative pokes of emotion that I would get during the day. And so I didn't really replace it with something substantial like some other habit so much as it just became for me like a cognitive exercise and a little bit of navel gazing, so to speak.
Yeah, that's nice just to be like actually, I don't know, it's like a meditative state. I've been trying to work on meditation. It's so difficult though.
Yeah, I'm not a good. Okay, so I've tried especially when I was 24, 25, was not a happy person. And I remember really trying a lot of, that was one of the paths that I went down to be like, oh, how can I improve the quality of my life? Meditation where you're sitting still and you're quiet and you're letting thoughts pass through the, I don't know, like theater of your mind, and as they drift over you, like you're gazing up at the clouds or whatever kind of metaphoric language you want to use, was never helpful for me. In fact, it almost always left me feeling emptier and more confused. It was actually a negative experience for me. You know what ended up working?
What?
I love doing, I guess I'd call it like physical meditative exercises. If I had to work through a cognitive or emotional problem, I would pair that with physical activity, something rhythmic, whether it was breathing exercises where you're really engaged in the breathing, or running, or working out. Those things became my way of processing emotions and thoughts. I would go on a run in the middle of like at midnight when it's 40 degrees outside and rainy. And I would just like go somewhere dark and difficult, and I would really process my thoughts and emotions that way. No one told me to do that. That was kind of intuitive. I just started doing it. But meditation, as most people probably think of it, and I probably tried a dozen apps where some guy's talking you through it, or some girls, humming, or there's some like music, or I'm not knocking any of these methods for anybody. Like, please try them if you think that they'll help you. They did not help me. I felt worse after doing them. Physical exercise and physically strenuous things, really, like, I felt like I could solve mental problems or psychological problems with physical solutions, just as I learned in my life that I could solve physical problems with psychological solutions.
Yep.
So it's like it's like when you're stuck in your head, it's hard to fight your mind with your mind, but I could fight my mind with my body. And vice versa. It was hard to fight my body with my body, but I could use my mind to overcome those physical limitations. So I felt like getting out of the system into the other system helped me a lot.
That is profound. Honestly, like, it seems simple, like simple words, but it's actually very profound. I remember when I first started content creation, like I was kind of trying to stay somewhat healthy and fit, but there was literally probably a 2-year section of my life where I barely moved. Like, I mean, it was like, maybe every 2 weeks I'd have like 2 or 3 days where I would like kind of do some workouts because I was like, fuck, I feel like shit, But it would immediately go back to the bad habits of just play RuneScape a bunch and then go to sleep and like chill on the couch or just never leave my apartment.
Yeah.
And oh my God, like I can't even imagine like that's so bad for you. Like that is, dude, that is horrible for you.
I've certainly been there too. Like, I mean, there was a period like was it during COVID or pre-COVID? It was many years ago where I was living in an apartment by myself and I'm ordering pizza like 4 times a week. Yeah. And it's pizza in China. I was so stereotypical, like pizza and Chinese food and literally just like,
and you smell like shit in the morning because like you're just sweating. You're just like, I'm like literally sweating when I ate, which is pizza and grease.
I mean, so I have been there.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of people ask me now, this didn't used to happen ever. Mm-hmm. People often bring up that I'm in really good shape because I guess I finally got to the point where you can tell that I work out all the time.
Yeah, you are clearly consistent with it.
Well, so people ask me about it a lot and like what got me started. And it wasn't a bunch of positive motivation. It wasn't like me trying to be sexy or cool or strong or athletic or any of those good things about it. It was just that I was a sad little human that didn't have enough water and sunlight and I wasn't planted in the right soil. And so I was just upset and not doing well. And I thought, you know what? If I don't do these things, I'm unhappy. So why don't I just start doing these things? And so again, it wasn't necessarily a positive motivation system. It was just that I knew that if I didn't do these certain things, I would feel really bad. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, most of life is like that. It's, hey, if you don't do these 5 things a day, you're not going to have a good day. Yep. You could do a billion other things, and if you don't do these 5, bad day.
What is your day look like? Like the average, what does your ideal day look like? A day that you do have that you're just like, that was fantastic.
I get up early.
What time?
I go as the sun is coming up.
Damn, that's early because it's summertime.
I love mornings. So right now in Texas, I don't know if that's 6 or 6:30. It's kind of in that window. I like when the sun's coming up and the light is really soft. You can hear the birds chirping. It's not too hot yet. I live in Austin. It gets blistering. This summer's been really nice, but typically it gets blisteringly hot. Go on a walk. Maybe a little jog for the second half. Get your blood flowing. Come home, have some coffee. I like to have a slow morning. I will go over my calendar and make sure I know what's coming in the day and in the week. And then I will do whatever emails and Discord messages I need to do as far as scheduling. Not like complicated things or new ideas or anything like that, but I'll just check all the boxes so I know what's coming ahead of me in the day. And I like to have like a slow morning, maybe 2 cups of coffee and just kind of chill for the first couple hours of the day. Then by 9 o'clock, really start diving into work. I like to eat my first meal at like 1 o'clock, typically, which means, and I like to work out fasted typically. So I'll,
really?
Yes.
Why is that?
Yep.
Why do you like to, it just works for you? Because I feel like I always need to eat something before.
So when you're actually doing intermittent fasting, which means you're eating for, let's just say you eat 6 hours a day, that's 18 hours of no calories. And I mean no calories. No cream in your coffee, no beer before, while watching a TV show before bed, 0 calories in that window. Your body goes through a lot of very important processes in digestion, in your hormones that your body will release, whether it's serotonin or in the pineal gland that affects, I believe it's like, that's the gland that tells your hormones It's been a while since I've looked at it. It's like one of those things you learn and then you put away in your pocket and you take the lesson. If you're doing it right, I'm never hungry. Ever. I actually make myself eat the first meal because I know that I only have 6 hours. I need to get a certain amount of calories in, and I want to be done by a certain hour. And if I work at, and so I'm not hungry. I don't feel like I need energy. And by the way, the idea that you need to like eat before your workout so you have energy, any given day, you're working off of yesterday's energy. That's true for hydration. True, like Navy SEALs talk about this with hydration all the time. You hydrate for tomorrow. And so the same is of your food. I've already made the decision of how much energy I'm going to have today by how much I ate yesterday. So I don't need to eat in the morning right before my workout because your body's not going to process that and turn it into usable energy in any kind, unless you're eating a bunch of sugar and you get a really quick fit. But I try to eat really low sugar diet. And so I'm not hungry. I feel a lot lighter. And so I have all this energy from the food that I had yesterday. I try and eat really high fat, high protein. It's a much slower food source. And so then I will work out in that fasted state, and I just feel really good when I do that. Come home, shower, or a lot of times I'm working out at home, and then, break my fast. Then probably in the middle of the day, I actually like to take that time to do some stuff. Get a little bit of sunlight, get a workout in, maybe do a couple errands, and then come back to work later in the day. And I have that luxury because I work out at home. And so then maybe in the evening, I watch a show. My evenings are usually pretty full. Like most evenings in a week, I have something, whether it's a podcast like this or D&D I play once a week, or I go dancing on Wednesday nights or something like that. My nights tend to have something going on, and if they don't, maybe I'll watch a show. Maybe I'll play some game that's not RuneScape. Maybe I'll
Just anything but RuneScape.
Yeah. Seriously, maybe I'll do something with my girlfriend, or maybe I'll, I don't know, read a book.
Yeah.
And then go to bed and do it all over again. That's a good day for me. Nothing too crazy.
Yeah, that sounds nice.
And I like that rhythm. I don't take weekends. I like to work as much as I can and have, days built the same every day until I take a trip, or because I do that plenty that I don't need weekends. It's like if I have a trip coming up, I'd rather just work and then not feel like I'm falling behind. Yeah. So Saturday and Sunday to me are just normal days of the week.
Yeah, when I used to work an actual job and I did get my weekends off, it felt like the weekends were actually just like, yeah, I didn't get to work, which was nice because I just hated my jobs that I worked. But at the same time, it just feels like you get into a slump for a couple days. And I even was working 4 days a week and just like 3 days of slump and then back to like an actual healthy grind. And then back to slump. I'm like, I almost just wish I could have just worked, 40 hours. Like I almost I'm trying to remember back when I don't think I would have actually wanted this in reality, but I think in hindsight, which is completely foggy, I think it would have been cool to almost work 7 days a week just for minimum hours, just to keep that schedule. Again, that's like a personal thing. I think I would actually enjoy that low key, because then you're just working less every day, but you never get that slump. I would always fall into a slump on the weekends.
Yeah, what's weird? Mm-hmm. I remember being a kid, and I remember being taught the Christian week is a 7-day week in which God, the story goes, rests on a Sunday. And it was always taught like that day of rest was mandated and kind of like forced upon the culture, as if they needed to be forced to stop working, which I remember thinking as a kid going, what the hell? What? I would take 5 days of rest in a week. Like that's all that I want. But now as an adult, I realize, oh, that's a very different perspective on like, that's a meditative, like, religious practice to force yourself to not be busy and attend to the emotional, spiritual, mental aspects of life. Which didn't that distinction didn't land on me until I, was working all the time and had a feeling like you, where I was like, I'd rather just keep working. And then realizing how easy it would be to lose sight of those important things and like taking the time to recenter yourself in a week.
That's a good point.
Yeah. And because that's how it was told, was like, hey, you need to do this or you will forget. But I remember being a kid and thinking like, that's all I do is screw around. Like, what are you talking about? And now as an adult, I'm like, oh, I do have to make myself take a moment and think about, and reset and refocus.
Yep. Reflect.
Yep.
Yeah, that's interesting. Let me ask you, I guess, I'm not going to get into it like super deep, but let me just ask you actually. So what do you think about like spirituality? And I don't know, what do you think about just, I know that's such a broad thing, but I feel like I've been going through just a little bit of like a spiritual like revival almost of
Okay.
it's very it's
Hey, maybe
it's impossible
maybe
to
that's what the
describe,
next
but-
4 years are, bro.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe that's your next season. I'll try and keep it simple.
Yeah.
And for this point of being effective about, I guess, what I believe, I think that humans are, and this is true for, I guess, life in general. Humans are spiritual beings having a physical experience. I think that this world is a manifestation of a greater reality, more so than vice versa. If one of the two is a reflection of the other, this is the reflection. Now, as far as what that means for my life, I think it adds a lot of importance to everything that you do. This used to haunt me, especially when I was younger. The thought that I don't think people get away with anything. I think every tiny, and this is true. I remember I was studying human neurology and the way that your body's nervous system constructs pathways and patterns of behavior, and how repetition builds. If you do, we know that if you do something over and over and over again, you become stronger at that thing. The truth of the matter is, every time you do anything once, your body's building those pathways stronger. So not only is it implicit in your neurology, but also in your physical experience of life. Everything that you do compounds and is a step in a direction. It's not just an action in and of itself. You're building the person that you're going to be in the future. And so I really do believe that everything you do matters. Though I'm looking at my desk right now, just kind of noticing it's pretty organized, it's pretty clean, but there's like little things you can attend to. And you could look at anything in your life, whether it's physical or mental or whatever, and there's things that you can fix and that you can attend to and that you can build upon. I take all of those things very seriously. And for me, that's a reflection of the truth that I believe that there's something greater to what's really going on here. I guess I'll leave it at that for now. I don't think I'm an overly spiritual person. I find my spirituality really grounded in the physical world. And it's another reason that I've always related to myself, whether mentally or emotionally, through physical exercise. I really relate to the world in that way. Like the physical struggle of life has always kept me really engaged.
I like that you were talking about the compounding interest of just everything, and like every single thing matters, because that's when my workouts Because even, 2 years ago, I was in like the worst shape of my life, basically. Just had completely let myself go and just like didn't care. And then just those slow little things of daily, like, okay, let's just go for a walk or let's do this, And then I think the thing that really got me more into like, I say bodybuilding, but it's not bodybuilding. It's just like taking care of your body and building up some strength and stuff like that. When something was said, and it was just like, you get out what you put in, and it's like every little thing matters. Like every little thing that you do is affecting something else. So like just even like the most minuscule thing is leading you to a direction, like you said. And so that made my work. And I'm not like always putting that into practice, but whenever I do think about it, I'm like, okay, what if I did one more push-up? What if I did one more of this? Like, what if I even just one more, it's that little bit of extra that you're putting in, you're going to get back out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I like that.
Dude, speaking of one more, there was a period in my life where I have a couple like really important memories to me where I remember, I'll just tell the story in a pretty succinct way. I was at this guy named Elliot Hulse. Again, you can look him up on YouTube. This was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I think 5 years. Was putting on this camp called Grounding Man up in upstate New York. And I went to this camp. It was 3 days, 2 nights, I believe. It's extremely physically strenuous. It's a whole bunch of men from all over the world doing this, like we're doing bioenergetics and different like meditations and physical exercises and breathing exercises and semi-yogic practices. It was a blast. It was really fun. But you're getting up crack of dawn and you're doing physical exercise or labor or whatever literally all day. And I remember one night, like I think it was after the first day, I was lying in my bed and it's like 10:30. We had just gone to bed and I like couldn't sleep. I don't know what was with me. I laid in bed for like 2 hours, like midnight comes around and I'm just like, I just have like thoughts turning over and over in my head. And I was like, screw it. Like, who needs sleep, right? And so I got up from my bunk and I was like, I'm just going to go on a walk. And pretty soon a walk turned into a jog. And I'm like, all right. Like I said, this is kind of how I process a lot of things. And I remember I was running about a quarter mile. I guess it would be about a half mile loop if I ran like down to this forest edge around this kind of like rocky path, turned around, ran past my door to like another end, and then turned around and came back to the center point. That was about a half mile. And I remember I did that like about 3 times. And at this point, I'm beat. It is the middle of the night. I've been up for pushing like 18 hours and was just beat from the day. And now I'm just like putting in my reps late at night. And I was like, I had this thought, hey, I should go inside. I don't want to beat myself up too much for the day. Tomorrow, got a big day ahead of me. And then there was this voice that was like, yeah, but you could do one more, right? And I remember thinking like, I'm pretty sure I could do one more. So I did another lap. And I remember thinking, okay, like that wasn't that bad. I think I could do one more. And that continued for, I think like 2 hours, dude. I don't know how many miles I ran.
Jesus Christ.
Hours and hours. And eventually that inner dialogue of like, you could do one more. I stopped saying, I think I could do one more. And it was just like, I have no idea. I might collapse on this next one. And I would do one and I would go, I just remember thinking like, I really don't know who the heck I am. I thought I was like a 4 mile kind of guy. And I remember I'm hitting like 10, 11, 12 miles in the middle of the night. It starts raining. nobody's watching. Everyone else has been sleeping. By this point, it's like 3:30 in the morning. I'm still just running. My body's just numb at this point. And I honestly don't know how long I ran. I think I ran until about 4:30 or 5 in the morning. I just stopped counting the miles. They didn't matter. I just remember thinking it doesn't really matter. I'll just keep going. And I just kept going. And I remember I dragged myself back inside. I was just like numb from the cold, numb from the rain, numb from running all day and not sleeping. I'd been up for almost 24 hours at that point, and I went inside and I showered and I crawled into bed, and I was just like, I remember laying there thinking like, I had no idea I could do that. I had no idea I could get close to that. And then the next 2 days were like the next morning, I woke up with a tension headache. I don't know if you've ever had one of those.
Oh,
Holy shit, bro. I was seeing stars. Like I had to drag myself to the first exercise the next morning. Eventually it went away. I got back into it. I got some energy, and the next day was great. But like, dude, I've had a couple experiences like that in my life where it's just like, if you could do one more, what would it be like? And I just had to tell myself, like, don't worry about hurting yourself. And maybe this is stupid advice, but I remember just thinking like, tomorrow doesn't matter. If there's no tomorrow, could you do one more lap? And man, I really went a couple like really deep, dark places on some of those runs or workouts or whatever. And I wouldn't trade that kind of physical training and mental training for anything, dude.
Damn.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I haven't had that many like really transformative, maybe like religious, spiritual experiences, but that was one of them. I don't. It's kind of hard to put in words, but
yeah, it's
you know?
personal. Yeah. That's so cool though. I think like little experiences like that, especially when you prove to yourself you can do something that you had no idea you could do. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and I still think to this day, like, man, how long could I kept running?
Yeah.
Like, I could have kept going. When do you stop,
Yeah, for real. That would be interesting, to like actually try that one day. Like you'd have to, it couldn't, I don't know. It'd almost have to be like natural. Like you'd have to just like get into that state of mind again and just really push. But yeah, it's weird because in a strange sense, we all limit ourselves in certain aspects. Like you almost categorize yourself as, like you said earlier, like, oh, I'm like a 4-mile runner. Like I didn't even think I could even really go beyond there. That's where I kind of like hard lock myself. It's like I'll go for a 4-mile loop around my like around the Willamette River that I live by, and it's like a 4-mile loop, and then it just feels like I almost just sort of gatekeep myself right there. Like, okay, like that's enough, Yeah, but like, what if I just stopped thinking that way, and I just instead of just putting in my mind subconsciously, like I'm just gonna do this. Like it's so limiting in a way, but we all do it in certain aspects.
Yeah, well, what started happening to me, the more I did that, I got kind of addicted to it, man. Like there was this voice that would always say, bro, I'd be like going to bed at night and it's like a work day. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to make this smart decision. And the second my brain would say smart decision, this other part of me would be like, okay, you have to strap on some shoes and go run now, you fuckhead. And I would just go run for an hour in the cold and the rain at night. The amount, or like I come in from a long day or a long workout and I'm like, okay, now it's time to relax. I'm going to be comfortable. And the second my brain starts saying that, this other part of my brain goes, no, you're not. You're going to take a freezing cold shower and then you're going to go do another workout. And so, but I kind of got addicted to this, like, I don't know. It was, I don't know. I felt like I could connect with this other part of me that was never really, I could never really access in my day-to-day life because day-to-day life was so comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got really obsessed for a long time with, I guess that would be specifically it, was being uncomfortable. And I would start looking for opportunities to ruin my day. And I still do that to this day, and I love it. It drives me like few other things do.
That's awesome. Okay, so in the Twitter topics, I haven't heard about your experience yet, but right after Tennessee, you flew to North Carolina for Mason's wedding.
Yep.
And he's asking favorite moment from that trip. And also, how was meeting? Because I'm assuming you met Torvesta and Ditter Bitter and Evie.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Right. How was that? And how was the trip in general? Yeah.
Yeah. So meeting everybody was awesome. Let's see. Torvesta was way funnier than I thought he was going to be. He's a very quiet dude, but he was hilarious.
Yeah, I heard he's really quiet and he's sober, which, respect.
Yeah. He does drink, so he's not like it's not a hard line for him, but he's very, very strict on his diet, and so that's obviously if you're doing any strict diet, alcohol is like less low hanging fruit. Don't drink, and you're going to be way better off than people who are drinking. Let's see. Ditter was like and I mean this in the nicest way possible, if a chihuahua had one wish and he wished to become a human being. That brother had so much energy. I have never met anyone in my life that was just that dialed up all the time. It's incredible to see. Jake, just as funny and warm in person as he is online. Megan was really nice. I never
Megan was there as well
before.
Yeah.
Solo, I mean, we got to hang out in Tennessee, and then Solo's great.
He is. He's a good lad.
Yep. And then Rarg was at the house as well. I really like Rarg. I've known him for, I don't know, a long time. We haven't kept up the past, I don't know, like 2 years really, but especially early on when we were both making videos. Yeah, he was great too. Meeting everyone, it was a great experience. Favorite memory? Dude, I have now ripped, and I've got some cake, bro. I'm like, and not like a normal cake. I'm talking like triple decker wedding cake. And since I've been working out, I started going to a gym again and putting on some heavy like weights on the bars as opposed to just doing like calisthenics and home workouts. I guess my ass got even bigger. I have torn in the past month 2 different pairs of pants. One of them, it was about a week ago, I was doing squats at the gym, and at the bottom of a squat, my athletic shorts just ripped up my ass. And I was like, okay, well, this is getting stupid. But the first one was at the wedding, at the after party. I was dancing, and I don't remember what song, but my friend, it's some ghetto song, so she like drops it low, and I'm like, oh yeah, well I can do that. So I drop it low and I slap the ground, and the second I hit the bottom, I ripped my suit pants from the belt in the front down the zipper all the way up around the horn, up all the way up the ass towards the belt seam in the back.
Jesus.
Like full split my pants. and then she was standing behind me, and so I turn around, mouth open. She's standing there with her mouth open. We're just like, what the fuck just happened? And then I danced the rest of the night and did everything. I just
with
act
ripped
like nothing
pants?
ever happened.
With ripped?
Yeah. Straight ripped down the center.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so that was cool, I guess.
That's definitely the best moment. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, thankfully I had dark boxers on, so when it was dark on the dance floor, it was like a lot of lights and stuff, but so you couldn't really tell. I don't think anybody noticed that I didn't like show and be like, yo, dude, I look at my pants.
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably everybody noticed, and I just didn't care or notice them noticing. But yeah.
Oh my god. That's awesome. Whose belt did you fix? I saw a 9 Rain, the type of guy.
Ditter had. Yeah. Oh, dude, Ditter. He's maybe like a 29-inch waist.
It's got to be smaller than that.
Bought like a 42 belt. He shows up with this thing that you could like. Anyways, punched a hole in it with like a knife and an ice pick or something. And so I punched him a new belt hole. But it was a good like foot away from the closest hole. It was not close. This
So
belt
like
was
wrapped around
huge.
twice almost.
Dude, it almost went around him and then all the way back around to the center of his back. It was 150% of the belt that he needed.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
Okay.
we fixed him up pretty good.
Speaking of the 9rain the type of guy, Solo Mission asks, what is your favorite 9rain the type of guy tweet comment of all time?
Okay, so that one I'm not sure if I could answer. I'd have to go dig up the thread.
Yeah, they're just yeah. There's so many now. You'd be scrolling for a day.
There were many that were. Oh man, I just remember reading a lot and going, "That's not funny. That's true." like that's way too true.
Scary true.
Yeah.
What was the one that like related the most? You're like, oh my.
I mean, one that I can that was way up there that I can remember is like 9rain, the type of guy that closed the fridge with his hip. and like, there's a couple like that where I just remember thinking like, oh yeah, that's like to a T. Like I'm that guy.
My favorite is 9rain, the type of guy to ask who dragged the cat back in. What am I thinking? Am I saying that right?
Look what the cat dragged in.
Look what the cat dragged in. Is that what am I saying that right?
There were a couple that were, like typical idioms like that that I actually say frequently.
Wait, actually, I think it was whale. I can't remember. I don't want to give credit to it. It was the 9rain, the type of guy to start floating when he smells a pie.
Nah, fuck that one. That was stupid. No, that's not. Nope.
I love that one because I can literally imagine you turning into like a Disney character.
Nah, that one's stupid. I'm redoing that one. Fuck you, whale. Fuck you, whoever else said that. Nah, I didn't know Pepe Le Pew.
I fucking love that one.
Wasn't that a Pepe Le Pew? Like, wouldn't he like float after chicks as they walk by?
Maybe. I literally can't even remember. Like, I don't know who the character is. I'm just imagining something in my head.
It's that skunk, that French skunk who would be like, oh la la.
Oh yeah.
And he was like in love with his cat, I think.
Oh yeah. Isn't there like a Disney character that's like an old man with like a beard that floats when he smells something? Or am I just like imagining?
I have no idea about that, but I do remember Pepe Le Pew. Which is a good name for a French skunk, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I guess that one's okay. I'll give you that.
That one, oh my God. Yeah, there's a ton though. And it just randomly came about and nobody even tags you in them. You're never tagged in them.
That was surprising to me when I saw multiple large threads and I was like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, what was that like seeing it when you first saw
well, it was fun. I mean, it was just funny. I thought it was hilarious. And I think it was oh God, it was Guns Chili and who was his partner in crime? Shit. There's a couple guys that are to blame for the first thread. Tom was one of them, but I can't remember. But yeah, hats off to those guys.
Yeah.
Well played. Well played.
And that meme basically will never die. It'll always get brought up again.
It's even worse. It's even worse in person. Like it pops up on Twitter occasionally. Yeah. If I'm around RuneScape people, it's like half the things people say to me are 9rain the type of guy comments. So
yeah, a cold one loves that. He loves the 9rain the type of guy.
He loves it. Yes. Love you, cold one. Awesome.
Oh my God. You know what's awesome about a cold one is like he literally is the same person, just identical to who he is online.
Yes.
Like you see him and he's just like, you are literally okay.
Being cold and direct and very like straightforward in his delivery is exactly the same when you're talking to him.
Just dead serious.
Yeah.
And you know what the best part about it? I actually had a random chuckle just alone one night when I think it was just before I was getting him on the cast for like the third time with Whale. And I just thought of his name. I was like, a cold one. Like his name is literally a cold one. And I just bust out laughing for like 5 minutes straight, because when you actually just think of his name in like a really weird sense, it's like the most hilarious thing ever. Like, who names themselves a cold one? Like, I don't know what it was. I must have just been in a strange mood, but I literally laughed for like 5 minutes just thinking about his name, because I had also just met him like in person, and it's just like, that is the perfect name for him. Just a cold one.
Okay, speaking of just randomly laughing,
Yeah.
I must tell you something.
Okay.
This was what's today? Is it fucking Monday?
Yep.
So 2 nights ago, Saturday, I went to a party. I have micro dosed mushrooms before, small amounts. I did that again at this party with my girlfriend. Turns out it was not a microdose. So we didn't full ass trip, but holy shit, that was way more of an experience than either of us signed up for.
Let me guess, you got the laughs? Did you just get
dude?
Okay, go.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, that's a thing.
Bro, okay, there's only been a couple of times when I have been so gripped by an emotion so quickly. One time, it was the last time I had anesthesia for a surgery. I remember going into the room that I'm like getting wheeled in, and into this like shiny white room. Everything is silver and white. There's all kinds of implements on silver trays everywhere. There's a couple doctors around me, and they're like, all right, we're going to administer whatever the fuck. I had an IV in me, and they're like, we're going to administer whatever in the IV. And we're going to count down, or I'm going to have you count down from 5 or something like that. And so then they go, okay, 5, 4, 3. And then I feel it hit they did the back of my hand. I feel this cold hit my veins, and I just feel it like up through my arm immediately into my chest, and then like through my body, and I could feel it going through the veins. And then they go 3, 2, and at 1, I don't know what this, because I remember that, before they administered it, they were tell me about the procedure, blah blah, I'm gonna wake up, da da da. And while one of the doctors is doing this, another one is strapping my arms and legs down. And I remember thinking, like, why are they doing that? And then they got to 1, and it's hard to explain this, but I had the most primal sensation of pure rage.
Whoa.
Like completely take over me. And it was so bizarre, because there was nothing to be angry or mad or frustrated about. There was no reason to it whatsoever. There was no object of my rage. It was just pure emotion.
Whoa.
And very strong. And she got to 1, and I felt all of my limbs just stretch up against this restraints, and I think I screamed. And it was just like 3, 2, and I go, ah, and then black. And then I woke up like 6 hours later. I have no idea what the hell that happened. In fact, I actually have been meaning, every time I think about this, I want to call the anesthesiologist, because I do have another surgery that I'll be going in for and so I need to call the anesthesiologist and be like, hey, did I imagine that? Or I don't think I did.
Yeah, but you can never be too sure,
Right. Well, so the reason, yeah. And so, but it was such a pure emotion, and from nowhere, completely unbidden, as if I was possessed by a spirit. And then so the reason I say that is because Saturday, the party was pretty overwhelming for me and my girlfriend, because not to digress too much, but when you're tripping on psilocybin, it can be it doesn't really conduct the nature of the experience. basically, this is my very uneducated version of it. It was like it took whatever was happening under the surface and brought that up, whether that's positive or negative or otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
And so we felt like we had to get out of the party because it was too much. And so we went upstairs and we were just chilling in this room with the door closed and like so we could get away from the noise and all the people. And I was in the middle of just talking. So I don't remember what I was saying to my girlfriend, but mid-word, I'm just like something da da da, and then mid-word, I was just completely overwhelmed by laughter. So much that I didn't even finish the word. I literally just spit out a laugh like mid sentence, mid-word, and was hysterically laughing. And then she immediately also the same. Bro, I did not know that was a thing.
Yep.
That happened probably a dozen times. It like came in waves where all of a sudden we're just like
can't stop laughing.
Like she'll hate me for saying this. She's in the house somewhere, so maybe I'll like whisper. She legit peed her dress. Full peed.
Oh my God.
It didn't know until later when she was like, wait a minute. I think and she was like, feel this. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh no.
No, but seriously, dude. It was just funny. Like it was just funny. Anyways.
No, that literally connects exactly with Zoe's question. So I'm gonna go to Zoe's topic on Twitter. First she asks, what kind of guy do you truly think you are?
But I can't even begin to answer that question. Who knows what kind of person they truly are, Zoe? I appreciate the thought, but I ask myself that every night as I drift off to sleep.
If you
I'll
were
let
to
you
make,
know if I ever get an answer.
If you were to make your own 9 Rain the type of guy, though, what do you think you would say? If you could make one, it doesn't have to be the perfect one, but if you could make one, what would it be?
I'm gonna have to think on that one. I don't.
Okay.
I got.
Well,
nothing.
one of these days you're gonna tweet it out.
No, that feels so narcissistic. I don't participate in. I try not to participate in those. I don't know. Like it just
9
feels,
Rain the type of guy to not make a 9 Rain the type of guy comment.
I guess. 9 Rain the type of guy to tell the e-girls no.
Now, I remember listening to a Based After Dark podcast with you. It was probably your first one. And I remember something about sunning your holes. And so she's asking benefits of sunning your holes. That's a throwback.
I couldn't tell you.
I actually
I've
still...
done it.
Sorry, I'm going to just interrupt.
Yeah.
I still remember exactly where I was when I was hearing that because I started laughing. I was walking around this university well, I used to go on a walk in Alabama, and it was around this university. And I remember the exact spot where I started laughing about it because I was just imagining like sunning my hole because I'm like, I've never even imagined doing that. So go on.
Dude. No, I couldn't tell you the benefits. I don't know. Don't really care. I've never looked them up, but I've done it, and I felt at peace with myself and the world. So I didn't really feel
Were you
like
sober?
I needed to, yes, I didn't really feel like I needed to justify it to myself with like, these are the benefits. I just was like, that felt good.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Some things don't need an explanation or a list of benefits. Just do
the
it.
original asshole sunners, I'm sure, didn't have a list of benefits. They just knew, that it was intuitively good for them.
Yeah. And then she also asks thoughts on mushrooms.
I'll say this. They're not a toy.
Amen to that.
Don't be a fucking kid with them. You get to, in large part, dictate the experience that you're going to have by controlling the environment, setting a plan and some intentions for it, and making the space for it. Do those things, and then buckle up. And don't do too much, especially your first time. Maybe a toe in the water.
Yeah. Yep.
I will also say one thing that I learned very recently. Make sure you know which kind of mushroom the psilocybin is being derived from, because a gram of one type of psilocybin mushroom is not always equivalent to a gram of another. They're not all created equal. The difference between, I guess, the least strong one and the greatest is almost twofold. So that's a pretty big fucking difference
Yeah.
between 2 grams and 4, so to speak, like effective grams. So do your research. They're not a toy. And I think that we're going to be seeing and hearing a lot about them in the future. I think that human beings have a whole lot to be gained from the correct use of psilocybin, specifically. Also, do not go eat random mushrooms. There are so many fungi and mushrooms that will just kill you or ruin you.
Yep.
So that's also not a fucking joke. But yeah, you know, like do your research, set it up properly. Probably don't do it alone.
That is the biggest thing, I think, is like as much as it sounds nice to like, you know, just be alone in these, you know, settings, which is what, at least when I was doing it, like it always felt like I wanted to do it alone, because whenever I had anybody else, it felt like it was ruining the experience. But man, if you could just have somebody to bring you back to earth if needed, like, or just be there, it's very, very, I don't know. I feel like if I ever do that again, which I haven't since my, you know, very crazy experience, if I ever do it again, it'll always be with somebody that's sober and there for me.
Right. So both me and my girlfriend did them at the party, and she started having a pretty negative experience because the party was pretty overwhelming. A lot of people, a lot of noise, a lot of stuff that's pretty out of control. I mean, it's a party. It's supposed to be out of control.
Yep.
Thankfully, it started hitting me about 20 minutes later than her. And so thankfully, I was able still to say, hey, let's get out of here. Basically had to drag her out of the house. And then we went in the car, and the experience got way better once we were away from, you know, all of the people and all of the noise and all of the, you know, party. And then we had a really good time once we got into the car and could kind of ride it out and, you know, control the experience. But it would have been much better to do that ahead of time. And for full disclosure, we were not planning on tripping. We took what we thought was going to be at max 1 gram, and it was not that. I don't know. So I'm gonna have I'm gonna be doing some research on the brand of chocolate bar that we had, and some other digging to figure out what the hell happened, because that was not at all consistent.
The experience that you had thought, yeah.
Well, not at all consistent with the dosages that I'm pretty familiar with from what I've read and learned and listened to. Somehow we ended up with way more in our system. Yeah. And so we were not trying to trip at a party our first time doing mushrooms or anything like that. So
yeah. No, I think that's good to just talk about the risks, and there are risks with any drugs, and like you just have to be safe with it, because if you start treating it as a toy, that's when things go really south, and things can go incredibly south.
Yep.
So
and we were even trying to be very cautious with it, but something went sideways. Either in who knows?
Yeah, and it'll be out of your control as well. Like you can set everything up, even if you were to have all the precautions, things can still go wrong. So
and I will say, even though it started out a pretty confusing negative experience, turned out the second half was really good. It was still pretty emotional, a lot of negative emotion, but also a lot of positive emotion. We talked about a lot of things, a lot of like thoughts came up to the surface from God knows where. And first of all, being able to go through that together was really affirming in our relationship. And then also both of our feelings about it after the fact were positive, despite the fact that it started out so chaotic. We both went, I would do that again. I would do it differently, but I would totally do that again. And again, I guess the last thing I'll say is to reiterate, ours was not a very heavy trip. Hers a little more so than mine. She's quite a bit more sensitive to a lot of things. But even then, it was not like a 3 gram like full fucking trip, and certainly not some heroic dose, which is technically is 5 grams, I believe.
Yeah.
So, anyways, it can be way more intensive an experience. So
it's weird. It's weird, like the potential for the. I mean, I almost want to call it a medicine, but you could take if you took enough ibuprofen, it would kill you. Like things like these medicines or these tools, have use, I think, but it's just they can be abused, and like it's so interesting. Just the whole, I don't know, like the things I've felt on mushrooms exclusively, like it's benefited me so much, but there's the negatives as well that have come from it. And it's like, it has to be respected, and it has to, you will understand as well. And I do not advocate that everybody should do it at all. I think, it's like a personal decision if you ever want to dive into psychedelics at all, or even just test the waters. But I think there's just real risks that need to be like addressed or just acknowledged beforehand. And but yeah, it's just interesting because it's definitely shaped my life in different ways, and it's made me like consider things I hadn't considered before. But again, it's not like it's all been positive or all been negative. It's just like a mixture of it. But it's weird.
Yeah.
It'll open your mind to certain things that can be go for it.
One thing that, first of all, I didn't expect it to have such an effect on my cognitive ability. I really struggled to hold on to a train of thought, such as like we're having a lengthy conversation about multiple topics, was not even in the realm of possibility for me. Both me and my girlfriend were really like, we would start to say a sentence and then we would lose it, or she would say something and we were kind of bouncing around. I don't know if that was.
Oh yeah, I have not experienced everything that can be experienced on it, but I've experienced a wide range of things where I'm like, I've had several trips, and then all of a sudden I'll have a trip that's completely different, and I'm like, okay, I had no idea. I almost thought I knew what this was like. I thought I knew what I am going into this because I've done it before multiple times, and then I'll have a trip and it's like, okay, this is completely alien to me. And that's where you just start realizing, okay, they're like, this is some crazy shit that is just, you can never really know what you experience. Every experience is different as well. Like you can have similarities, of course, but you will have an experience that's just like, this is absolutely alien, and I thought I knew what I was taking, but this is just
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
So you can never know. You can never know what your experience will be either. Like you can, as many times as you do it, like you'll just have a completely new experience sometimes.
I gotta go have it, like go try it, like middle of the day or like a soft morning up in the mountains in Colorado, dude. I feel like that would be the situation.
Yeah, just be safe with it. That's the biggest thing. Is like just have somebody there.
I would definitely have a plan to make that an easy out. I can go be comfortable and safe kind of thing. Another thing I was gonna say, I had one. I said it before I thought it. While we were in the car, just kind of riding it out because neither of us could drive, so we're like, I guess we're just here until whenever this trip is over. And I remember, she posed me some question about whether or not I was ever scared in life, or like what scared me the most. And I remember saying, like, I think my answer was like lots of things scare me. And I put it this way. It's like the more explicit you are with a goal, the more explicit you are with your parameters of failure. And the more goals you set, the more paths of failure you elaborate. And I said, it's like as I've gotten older and I learn who I am and who I want to be more, I'm dreaming a more beautiful dream. And it's becoming clearer and clearer to me. But as you do that, you at the same time dream up a more terrifying nightmare. Because you can then imagine all of the things that you would never be as well, or that you could be, that were in direct opposition to the person you want to become.
Whoa.
And then even if the bottom was still exactly the same for you, the more and more you imagine the top, the deeper that chasm grows between the two.
That is so interesting. Yeah.
Right.
No,
so my answer was, yeah, a lot of things scare me. And the older I get, the more clear that difference becomes. But it paints an even clearer picture of why I should be on the path that I'm on. So, maybe it's okay to be scared and fearful, but as long as you keep taking steps in the right direction and you let that fear motivate you instead of freezing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's actually...
I'd never elaborated that before, but I said it and then thought about it later and was like, damn, I like that.
Yeah, no, that actually makes a lot of sense too to me, based on the things I felt on, that actually makes a lot of sense.
So, I mean, it was this was the craziest accidental trip. And I've only said small moments of.
Yeah, there's so much more that can't even be described, honestly.
Do you have any trouble recalling any of your experiences?
Oh yeah, all of it.
Okay.
All of it is basically impossible to truly recall. I've had moments where, like, I will go into a trip and it is like I'm returning home. It's like this deep sense of familiarity that I've been there before and I've never been there, but it's like I have been there before, and it's like more familiar than reality. And it's this deep sense of just love and interconnectedness.
Dude,
and
do you know what that reminds me of? There's a book called, I think it's in Surprised by Joy by C.S. Lewis, where he's talking about the nature of joy, and he's telling about an experience of a longing for a place he's never been. That like the call of that far off city that feels like home. And he draws the connection between that longing and a sense of what joy is. And he describes it as not a going to some new land, but a returning home.
Yep. That's beautifully put. I think that's like exactly.
You should like Google. I'm gonna send it. Let's see, Surprised by Joy, C.S. Lewis, and then I guess the quote that would lead you there, like the keywords would be, longing for that far off city. It's a pretty lengthy quote, maybe a page and a half or two. I recommend go Google it and go read it. It's beautiful. Yeah, I just showed you a picture of a filet mignon, but you should go eat that when this is over, because he puts it so well. So what I actually didn't have. I'm not struggling to remember really anything during the trip, but it was not a very strong one.
Yeah.
It was still pretty affective, and was certainly beyond a microdose, but it wasn't like. Did not consume me.
I will say, like, there is an afterglow, it seems, for a few days. I believe, like, obviously it's still in your memory, but give it a week and it'll just be like really foggy. A lot of those concepts will be foggier. I feel like the first few days afterward, you can kind of recall it pretty almost clearly. It's still a little foggy, but yeah, once a week's passed, it's like, whew.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think you'll feel that. But yeah, no, it's interesting. It makes me contemplate life a lot more, and there's a problem with it because like I want to, and this is part of the reason why I also took a break. I mean, on top of just, the risks that are involved, is like I felt the need to just focus more on reality and just understand that you will not get the answers that you'll never know everything in life. Like you just won't.
Right.
And that's not the point of life. Life is to be experienced and to grow and to learn and to love and stuff. But like,
right.
Trying to escape from that too often is just not bringing you anywhere. And so that was the thing I felt personally, is like, I just have
fair enough. I've done that with other things in my life that are good things, where I was using that as a step away from what I should be doing or what I knew my path was. I've done that with like either with schooling or with studies, where I'm diving into this thing that it's like part of me, like I'm learning a lot or I'm being introspective. But if you don't take that knowledge and do something with it that benefits you or the people around you, then you might as well not be doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I think of it like this. I mean, I think of this analogy often. Just like you could have an overconsumption, like way too much input and not enough output in your physical body, and it will make you obese and sick. If you have too much input and not enough output mentally.
Ooh, I like that.
I think that our society, especially Western society, is struggling just as much from information overload and like a mental obesity as it is from physical obesity. I think
I never even thought about that whole.
Yeah, well, you should be really careful about the amount of stuff you're consuming mentally and through a screen and through information. If you're not putting anything out into the world, it'll make you obese, it'll make you sick, it'll make you fat. And I mean, yeah, I think that's just objectively true.
Yeah, that's awesome, actually. That is mind-blowing, actually, that you said that. That makes so much sense to me, and I never even considered that.
Well, and the solution is twofold. Either put out more or cut back on your input. Mm-hmm. Or maybe probably a little bit of both.
Yeah, I think even the best way to go about it would just be like almost like not to cut back, but to put in more. I feel like, and who knows, but I feel like, if you, for example, like when it comes to dieting, like when you just restrict calories and you're also restricting your exercise, it's like a negative. It's like a double negative. It's like you would be better off eating more and doing more.
Right. And I would say that's probably true. To overdo it in both is maybe better than to underdo it in both.
Yeah.
But
I think everyone has their own strengths and stuff, so it's like everyone's different. Yeah.
And I'd recommend if you heard that and you think that that's like hey, that might be me, I bet if you start making little changes, you'll start feeling the effects. And you can also make the same analogy, just as you can be careful about the kinds of foods that you're going to put into your body. You need to be really careful about the kind of thoughts and ideas, not necessarily ideas. I would hesitate to put that, but the kind of information that you're putting into your mind. Is it stuff that's actually useful and going to serve you and serve other people? Are they ideas that you're actually contending with, or are you just slurping up garbage, some bullshit to keep you entertained?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I think about that often. And it's like the Twitter thing, man. I could feel the chatter in my head like drifting away. And it took like 3 days, and the difference was profound for me. So I think I have a lot to learn from that experience, and to take that lesson and put it in a whole bunch of areas of my life, because that was advice that I never thought I would really fall prey to. So
interesting. Dayton asks, what is your favorite in-game music track, and what is your favorite song to play on the drums? We haven't even addressed your drumming talent.
Dude. Favorite in-game track? I think it's Tomorrow. Let me click it really fast. Tomorrow. I'm gonna turn. I'm chopping redwoods right now. Oh yeah, it's Tomorrow, dude. I don't know why this song. It reminds me of, like, I grew up playing RuneScape 2001 in Classic.
That's through hit the nostalgia feels,
dude. Yeah, 2001 up through 2006, the day they got rid of free trade in the wilderness. And me and all I did was merch and PK. And so me and Adam, my twin, and our friend Bradley, who used to live across the cul-de-sac, we all quit that day. We were like, I guess we don't play anymore. And I didn't come back until 2018.
That is very similar to me. Quit in 2007, came back 2015. Didn't play at all.
And I don't know, man. This soundtrack just reminds me of the good old days playing RuneScape with my twin and Bradley, when there was nothing but like glee and adventure in our eyes, and like life was so simple. I don't know. It's just such a good memory.
Yeah.
So that's my favorite RuneScape track. There's a lot of good ones, but it's got to be Tomorrow. That one will just take me somewhere special. Then my favorite track to drum to. Oh God, there's a couple of the new TOA tracks. They're not too new at this point, but the tracks that dropped with Tombs of a Masket.
Oh, and this isn't just RuneScape music, by the way, for the drums. This is any
okay.
Any
well,
song.
I'll say some of the Tombs of a Masket tracks.
Okay.
What's his name? Mod Surma. That brother, he put some grooves in there, and you'll hear grooves, you'll hear polyrhythms, you'll hear unique time signatures. It's
so
really
an actual
fun to drum to
musician made it.
Yes, dude.
Nice. That's
it's really fun to drum to some of those. It's also interesting. Some of those are exactly 100 beats per minute. A lot of RuneScape tracks are that way. 100 beats per minute is 0.6 ticks per second. It's the game tick clock of RuneScape is 100 beats per minute. You'll find that a lot of the tracks are actually tracked to 100 BPM. Now, as far as my favorite song to drum to, I love metal, more specifically like gent, math metal, prog rock, a lot of the more either jazz, like heavy jazz, stuff that has a lot of groove and a lot of rhythmic complexity. Obviously, my cup of tea. But has the heavy sounds of metal, not necessarily like death metal or black metal or stuff with a blast beat. I don't find that too interesting a lot of the time. So that's my favorite genre. So I drum to stuff like that all the time, whether it's Tesseract, Pliny, Animals as Leaders, Anoop Sastry, whatever, all those guys. I also really enjoy drumming to video game soundtracks and 8-bit soundtracks and remixes, because then you're not competing with another drum set. Usually they have programmed drums with the 8-bit sounds, but you can play over that, and it's not like snare over snare or cymbal over cymbal, where it's just, like a competing sound. So that's really fun for me to play over. So I'll do a lot of covers of, music that doesn't have a traditional drum kit in it.
Yeah, you go hard on those. I love those Twitter clips, by the way, especially the shirtless ones. Those are This is fucking
I think
awesome.
there was only one shirtless drumming one, and it's because who was
Maybe
it?
I just replayed it so many times. It felt
Bro,
like it.
well, it was stupid skill specs. Made some smart ass comment about me playing shirtless on one of them where I had my shirt on. I was like, okay, brother. Like I needed an excuse. And so, yeah, I did play one shirtless. Yeah. I think it was of a remix of skill specs on stream. So he's in the video. I don't even know how I found it.
Speaking of skill specs, did you see the one where it's like the feel good? That one song by Gorillaz, and he does this cringe laugh. It's like the laugh at the beginning of the song. It's like, ha, 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 and it's literally
No.
skill specs dying, and he's literally imitating that exact laugh.
No, but I know what you're talking about. And I can imagine
feel
it.
good song. I was
That's
literally
good.
in tears, dude, because I was not expecting it. I was like, okay, that laugh is kind of weird, and then it went into the song. I was like, okay, it all connected. It was fucking gold.
While we're talking about him, I will say skill specs is someone that I've never had a negative experience with. In fact,
Dude, he's amazing.
he's so, dude, he is so high energy and funny and kind
yeah,
all the time.
I know.
I have nothing. Maybe I need to hang out with him more, and then it'll be an asshole. But he's been nothing.
No,
but
he wouldn't.
extremely positive.
He's just a gem. He's just literally a gem. He's been in the OSRS community forever. He just tries to give the people what they want, which is entertainment, fun, laughs, and he always provides. And
Yep.
you've never seen him like legitimately be negative. Obviously, people have their bad days and just are. But like,
Yeah, and
Specs
he'll lean into it for the bit. But I have a
but
lot of respect for
it's
Jay.
all for the fun, you know. It's all for other people. It seems like he really does give a show, and he's really kind-hearted, man. He's just a fucking legend. I love that guy.
I had to miss the latest skill specs Rust server, dude. I wish it came at a different point in my life and I could have been there, but because I love Rust, I love Jay. He put on from what I saw, an incredible event. I was so looking forward to diving back in. I had just been playing a whole bunch of Rust with V the Victim, so I was actually getting like pretty practiced at it. But didn't happen. I'll get in the next one. But man, yeah, I wish I could have been a part of that server. It looked like it was a blast.
Yeah, it did look fun. I've never
And
played Rust, so I always get scared when people ask for me to join.
Well, you can screw around in the game and just curb your expectations and like, you know, play it for the social interactions. And that kind of stuff. It'd still have a really good time in the game. Well, that depends. There's a lot of competitive servers in which you will not have a fun time, period. You will die over and over and people will just flame you in either Russian or Cantonese or whatever language they made up with their shit friends. Like, yeah. But just, you know, don't go on the competitive servers on wipe day.
Okay. Uberu asks, name origin story. Where did Nine Rain come from?
Okay, yeah. So there's a couple different pieces to it. My last name. So I was in drumline in high school. We took it very seriously and we're very competitive. And so because it was extremely like disciplined and strict, we borrowed a lot of things from the military. So one of those is we called everybody by their last name. So my last name sounds a lot like Rain Man. So that Rain Man was my nickname in high school. At least on drumline. And so I kind of wanted to do something with that. But it's not very brandable like that. And I think there was already a big streamer named Rain Man at the time who was doing, maybe he was doing PUBG or I don't remember, but it was already like, there was already a guy on Twitch doing that. And then I thought I kind of wanted some numbers in it because as an homage to the old like gamer tags or old RuneScape names where, you know, there were numbers thrown in there. So I kind of wanted it to sound like a gamer tag. And then the 9 was an homage actually to Day9. I don't know if you know who that is.
No.
Okay, he's was a StarCraft Brood War pro, turned caster and streamer. He did a show called the Day9 Daily, which was a StarCraft strategy Twitch or stream on Justin TV before Twitch was even a thing. And it was Day9 is one of the reasons that we have live streaming. He's one of the main guys that got the whole thing started, really drove the industry of live streaming and YouTube broadcasting. I think esports has a lot to owe to this guy. So anyways, I love his content. He's one of the most positive people I've ever seen. So the 9 was kind of an homage to him as well. And then when I thought of the name 9rain, it just kind of sounded cool. And I don't know. I said it a couple times and I was like, I like that. That'll work. And then I like the juxtaposed 9 and R. They have close to symmetry.
Yeah.
So that's where it comes from. It's, there's not like a deep meaning to it. It was kind of a lot of disparate pieces kind of brought together. But I like it. I had a different name, which I won't share on my other channel. You can go find it I don't care if people know, but actually I think it's funnier to not tell them and then you can go do your research.
Sorry, you were talking about like the 9 and the R, like being that, dude, you could make a really nice like logo with that.
I have tried, but I'm not an artist. And then, so yes, I actually, dude, merch and having a logo and branding is something that I have put off for about 4 years now. So you're right. I could have a dope ass logo. And I should. So you know what? If anyone listening wants to just send me some mock-ups and they're good, I'll pay you. But I'm also not going to be the guy that like, hey, do this work for free. And maybe don't do that. That's a shitty thing to say to artists. So never mind.
I like that. First of all, I love the name 9rain. It really is just nice. And especially because now there's like a whole meme like 9rain, the type of guy. So now it really just rolls off the tongue nicely.
Yep.
I just want to make up a new 9rain, the type of guy. Also, Uber, I'm going to skip. Well, you know what? We'll just cover it.
Okay.
Is there still plans to drop the RuneScape related calendar? Whenever I hear calendar, I get nervous.
Yes.
Is that like some,
absolutely
like some OnlyFans calendar? What are we talking here?
No. Okay. I mean, it might be a little sexy and a little.
It's got to be a little sexy.
But yes, dude. Uberu, first of all, brother better make it this far on the cast. So whatever.
Oh, he will.
Uberu, message me when you get to this point, and we'll start talking to the members of Based and we'll make this happen or something. It's not, yes, I will make that happen. Okay. I think it's a fantastic idea and is super fun. So,
okay. Yeah. Any advice for new creators starting out YouTube?
Yes, tons.
Okay.
I'll try to be brief because I could probably talk
let's
about
do
that
three.
for an hour.
Let's do 3 good advice points.
3. You better like it. Don't force it. If you're not enjoying content creation, move on, because it is extremely time consuming. And a lot of it will be you working by yourself, completely self-motivated. So if you're not really enjoying it, do something else. That could probably be said for most things in life, but again, it is a lot of time. It's not the hardest job in the world. I'm not saying that. There's a lot of harder things you can do. But the amount of time and effort that you will need to put in, it's very draining. The second thing I'll say is make the kind of content that you want to be making 3 years from now. Because you will be setting up an audience's expectation. And granted, you kind of have to find your way. You got to make and start badly and fumble through it.
That's key. You got to make mistakes and don't be a perfectionist.
I guess that'll be 2 and 3. 2 is try to figure out. I'll put it this way: don't be at the mercy of the audience or of views or of what you think other people want from you. Do not ask the question, hey, are they going to like this video? Or what kind of video do I think my viewers want? That's a stupid question. I hate it when any kind of creative producer asks that question. When Jagex starts asking, hey, what kind of content do we think the players will like? I hate that. Because they have no fucking idea. And even if they did, they wouldn't know how to do it. They need to be asking, they need to be in a position where they can say, I love this game. What kind of content do I want to see in the game? I want those people developing for RuneScape. I want more mod Kierans who just wake up and giggle at the thought of RuneScape. And I want them to go make what they think would be exciting in the game. I hate it when they ask the community what the community wants. I'm not saying
damn, that is based shit, man.
I'm not saying the conversation is bad, and I'm not saying they shouldn't poll stuff and be in touch with the community. But when it comes to dreaming up the next project, they have to be passionate about it. And they have to be able to sit in their office and dream up their own thing, or it's not going to be any good. And so
that is so true. That is so true. Holy shit. Yeah.
So when you're being a creative person online, whether it's a YouTube channel or whatever, stop asking, hey, is this what people want from me? And just do what you're passionate about. You will have to reconcile that at some point with, hey, is it working? Is this providing enough value to other people that I'm getting views? Like if you're trying to make a living out of this thing, obviously that's something you have to work with. But the starting point should always be something that you're passionate about and you think is really cool. When I'm making a YouTube video, I always need to start with, what's a video that I am excited to make and that I would watch? So that'll be number 2, is don't ask the wrong question. Don't ask what your audience wants from you. And then number 3 is don't be afraid to do it badly. Fumble your way through it and just start making videos. Hell, if you have to make 10 and don't upload any of them, I don't care. That's way better than not making the first video. So first piece of advice to recap, only do it if you really like it. Second piece of advice, ask the right questions. Make sure that you're chasing your creative impetus versus the dreams of somebody else. And then the third thing is, whatever the fuck I just said, and I can't remember.
Just create. Just start creating.
Yes. Start now and do it badly.
Yep.
Seriously.
It will be bad. That's the thing. Like, it will be bad. You just have to accept that.
And if you can't tell it's bad, if you think it's good, perfect. Keep going. You'll look back a year later and think it's bad. But if you think it's good now, that is such a blessing.
Yeah. Power to you.
If you make one video and you think, holy shit, I just knocked it out of the park, you're in a very good, very envious position. Yeah. I was actually that way with One Kick Rick. I put out every one of those videos. I'm like, dude, I'm the best fucking YouTube content creator I've ever seen. I now know what a blessing that was to be in such naive.
Yeah. No, it helps. It helps for sure. But it's not necessary. You can just understand even a week later, like, oh God, I already want to delete this, but just keep it. Just keep it. Looking back at my old rambles, I can't even look at them because they're just so incredibly cringe. Even my early Sae Bae casts, even like current Sae Bae casts, like I know I'm going to improve because I just look back 2 years ago on a cast. I'm like, I can't listen to this. I can't listen to this episode either probably, but like, that's just my own problem. But yeah, I've seen the steady growth, and that's all just putting in the time, consistency, just doing it. Just create. You'll start, molding yourself into the content creator you want to be. So
yeah.
Idol asks, what non-RuneScape creators do you enjoy draw inspiration from? So I'll ask for 3, and I'm actually going to ask the opposite question as well, or not the opposite, but just the other question, which is 3 OSRS creators.
Okay, cool. I'll start with the non-OSRS. Wellen, he's a Rust video maker. There's a couple Rust guys I could name, but I'll just start with Wellen because he was kind of my first foot in the door. I love his storytelling. He does the same kind of video every single time. Very similar writing style every single video, and he knocks it out of the park. He's been doing that for years. Slimesicle. My Grardor series was the product of watching a video by him called, I think, something along the lines of, we created the most difficult mod pack in Minecraft or something like that. It's probably 2 years old at this point, the videos. And that inspired me to do the dive into the Grardor series and make those 3 videos. A lot of other things inspired that mini series, but specifically that video by Slimesicle. And all of his stuff is so good. The edits are tight. He wastes no time in his videos. It's stacked with jokes and punchlines and a story arc. And then when the video's done, he just ends it. And it's very clean. And then the third is General Sam. He's done a lot over the years. Started out doing a bunch of Skyrim stuff that got big, and then did a bunch of Tarkov, and he does a lot of the whatever. He's done so many games. Go look him up on YouTube. We actually had Jimmy and I had him on Bankstandin. It's our most viewed Bankstandin podcast. He's hilarious. The way he is funny is so, I guess, unique that you don't realize he's being funny. He's not like that overt in what he's doing. It just works really, really well. He transitions between either like kind of narrative storytelling or jokes or clips so seamlessly, it never feels forced. That's really hard to do. So those are the 3 that I'd mentioned for non-RuneScape content. For RuneScape content creators, let's see. Jimmy, obviously. I was a huge Jimmy fan before I met the guy, before we became friends. When he had like 8,000 subs or less and was just doing according to Jim. Jimmy is just really, really funny, and his writing and his narrative style is so tight.
Yeah.
The dude can seriously, he might be one of the best editors as far as pacing and what to cut and what to leave in a video. When he's not phoning it in, when he really dives into a video and tries his best, it's good. It's so good. And then obviously his music's really good too.
Yep. I always leave impressed when I watch those videos, and I always stay for the whole thing too.
Yep. Let's see. Jimmy, Rendy. I really admire Rendy's creative ingenuity for the game and for videos, and his ability to try and he really does extremely interesting things in game, but then also does all this crazy shit out of game. The dude's a genius. I think he's probably close to an actual genius. And
he is the exact example of he creates what he wants to create. He doesn't ask.
Yes, I really like that about him.
Yep.
He's just like, dude, no one is doing this. I'm gonna go do this.
Yeah.
Did anyone ask for this? No. Here's this. And yeah, I think Rendy knocks it out of the park. And his style is so different. His videos are long, and they are packed full of information. Yeah, they're just really interesting.
Yeah.
And then number 3, God, who would I pick for number 3? Idol, actually. Not trying to make him feel good because it's his question. Not trying to make it. I make fun of him all the time, and I hope he knows that I'm just messing around. And I actually feel like I have a right to make fun of him because he's so good, which is why I don't feel like I'm punching down at all. Idol is so funny, and
he's good.
He's creative. He also really knows how to make a good YouTube video.
Yep.
Like he knows how to get interesting ideas for the platform. And I think Idol could go do any content and be really successful.
I have a prediction for Idol. I think
Yeah.
in 2 years, so I'm talking June 2025, this man will be well surpassed 100,000 subs. I'm even going to guess maybe close to 200,000. Somebody's going to watch back on this video, and I'm going to be totally right. He's going to be around probably, 180K subs, just balling out, just doing the same thing, creating amazing content. And I think, his days of being, underrated will have been over by that point, and he'll be growing. I think he'll be top 10 OSRS YouTubers within like 3 or 4 years.
I think actually, Idol, if you're listening to this, if you cut about 30% of your bullshit from some of your videos and get to the point a little faster and a little harder and cut some of the chaff, holy shit, they're so good.
They're so good, man.
Take it or leave it.
Yeah. No, I think, and he is a quick learner too. I think he'll pick up things, and I think just the more you grow on YouTube, I'm not at that point where you really start getting that huge, just incline of just, oh crap, I'm growing. You start really, I think, like at least the creators I've talked to, you really start dialing in on what works and what doesn't. So I think there's time for that.
That was 3 and 3.
Yeah, thank you. His third question, I'm going to cover his second one, but his third was literally which YouTuber with slightly under 21,000 subscribers who makes videos about plugins and other things is your favorite.
Ah, shut up, Will. It's not cool or funny when you're actually good. Grow up.
All right. His second is, will Bankstandin ever return? What is Bankstandin?
I actually am under an NDA. I can't say anything about that.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not joking.
Will it be coming back?
I cannot say.
That's sounding like it might be coming
just
back.
asked the question again.
No, but
I
just
cannot
the
answer.
simple fact that there's an NDA. I'm now, okay. I think it's coming back, gentlemen. Bankstandin, dude, I had no idea, because this was back, but I wasn't really listening to any sort of OSR's podcast besides like, the old Hexes podcast. Those are the only ones I really knew of. But yeah, Bankstandin it's kind of a gem, and it's like a lost gem. It feels like it should definitely have a comeback.
All right. Yeah, I mean, we had a blast making them. It was really successful, and Jimmy, I love you if you're listening to this, man.
He's not.
Yeah, that's all I'll say
us.
about it. He's not listening to this. I'm gonna send it to him.
All right. Okay, just a few little shout outs. We're going to probably be wrapping things up. But Greg says, this has to be Cap. No way he finally made it. It has been a minute since. This is what it almost feels like an obligation to tell my guests that I get on now. Like, I'm sorry for the long wait. Like, it just always feels that way.
Nah, we never interacted ever before we ran into each other in the airport.
Yeah, no, but that's true. It feels like, I already knew of you because I did listen to some Bankstandin episodes, and I also watched Based After Dark with you on it. So I was like, okay, this is clearly a guy. By the way, I gotta say, you're a great host. You've been a fantastic guest so far. This has been amazing.
Hey, man, I'm having a great time. It's been great.
And you kill it with the. Let me ask you actually, how is being a regular on Based After Dark now? Do you like
great,
that,
dude? Yeah, I like everybody on the on the cast. It's just fun.
Yeah, it always just looks like a blast.
The scheduling. There's a bunch of degenerates, bro. I was telling you about my perfect day. I'm getting up at like 6:30. That's the one thing that I'm like, oh man, dude, it's one day a week. I'm like dying, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah. No, that's true. But luckily, like you said, you can, with your, working at home and stuff, you can make things work. But yeah, having that perfect schedule is not going to be able to be a thing with Based After Dark.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think you're a great fit for there too. It just seems natural. So, all right, let's see. Max Weaver asks, what direction would you like to see the game go in the next few years? This is like literally the first OSRS topic we've covered. It's been 2.5 hours.
I've been saying this for years.
Yeah.
I think this won't happen, by the way. I don't think there's any precedent of game companies doing anything like this, because when game companies become successful, investors get involved, and then all they want to do is make safe decisions and try to make money off of as little effort as possible. They take no risks. So this is not going to happen, by the way. And I'm not saying that to be like dramatic about it, but it's just not going to happen. But what I would like to see, slow down development on old school RuneScape. Stop development completely on RS3. Nobody gives a shit about that game. Not even the people who play. No, I'm not joking, bro. Like, move on. They need to get a lot of the strongest devs who are doing a lot of the design and the artwork, the level design. And if you go run around the new areas in RS3, the level design is so cool. The engine is so much more useful in a lot of ways than the one that old school runs off of. But it's obvious that the core game mechanics of old school RuneScape are so much better. They need to take some of those artists and devs that are working on RS3, and then some of the guys that understand the core concepts and the heart of old school RuneScape, and they need to make a RuneScape 4 that is the marriage of the two in the best way possible, so they can actually make, like, go walk around Anachronia in RuneScape 3. It's actually really good looking. A lot of the new models for monsters or like armor and items in RuneScape 3 look really cool. A lot of the concept art for RuneScape, old school RuneScape stuff, like stuff that oh my goodness, what was her name? She's a friend of mine. I can't remember. She did shit. She was an artist, a 3D artist. Mod something. Soften.
Yep.
Oh my god, her concept art is so sick. G also had tons of stuff that was so good looking, and then it gets cut to pieces to fit into this game. And don't get me wrong, I love the old school aesthetic. I especially love the older, like, dark dungeon crawly looking stuff. I think they need to take a RuneScape 4, they get those, like, consolidate those teams, actually start something new and take that risk. But it could be awesome. And then you bring back the feel of old school RuneScape, which is dark medieval point and click fantasy adventure, where there's skeletons and dungeons and monsters. A lot of the newer content looks fluffy and like high fantasy. And to me, that's just never felt as good as the like really dark medieval fantasy of RuneScape.
I fucking love your just absolute out of the box thinking. Nobody would like, that was the last thing I was thinking, is like a RuneScape 4. Like, I just fucking love that you're just saying it how it is. Dude, an RS4 that's literally like the love between both games that really carries. And of course it wouldn't be for everybody. A lot of people love old school and the purists out there, but really a marriage between the two, because there are so many wonderful ideas that I hear that RS3 has, but I just don't want to go over to that game.
Dude, and if the core game mechanics were old school RuneScape, point and click, like, and interacting with your inventory and the game screen in the same way, and I know people are going to be like, we got to bring it to a more modern game. Don't. There's modern games. Go play those. But bringing F keys into the inventory, maybe allowing things like you're allowed to, like, you can rebind hotkeys to a keyboard. You know, a couple modernizations to where you're not actually using the F, but you're still interacting with the game screen in the same way, and it's primarily clicks and right clicks, and it runs off of a 0.6 second tick cycle.
That's important.
Very important. Accidentally important, but very important. Mm-hmm. I think you could create a game that was awesome.
And I love that you're obsessed like me with the medieval aspect of this game. That's what we grew up with, you know, like that's what makes RuneScape, the skeletons and the dungeons and the...
Yeah, well, and it's really gripping. When I think of RuneScape, I think of Varric sewers.
Yes! That's literally what I was thinking of. Shooting skeletons across that little stream.
Yes, bro. And like, I don't know. I don't mind the way the Ranging Guild looks, but like fucking, or not the Ranging Guild, the Woodcutting Guild, because that's where I am right now. But like, what the fuck is it? What am I looking at? These fucking trees, dude.
I know.
I don't know,
It's
man.
so
like,
bad. That wood. By the way, do you remember what old redwoods look like? I was showing this on my stream. Do you remember the abomination? What those look like?
I'd never.
Bro, okay, I'm going to show you right now.
They weren't a thing when I quit.
I'm going to show you right. Oh yeah, you're right. Because they came out in like 2016, I think.
Yeah. So whatever form they were introduced in, I'm
going to show you this.
Okay.
I'm just going to link you this site, and you got to scroll down a little bit.
Okay.
I'm going to show this on my end. Scroll down to red. It's number one redwood. Bro, this is what they fucking looked like. They were, and it didn't get any better. That is all they look like. It's not like you could just get off the ladder and they would show the full tree. No, that was exactly what they look like all time. There's a little ladder with a 2-tile little... They literally took 3 seconds into making this fucking guild. Let's put 8 magic trees right here. Let's put some random, perfectly symmetrical pathing here. Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, there's no heart.
What the fuck did you do?
Yeah.
Like, dude, this is horrible. This is horrible.
Yeah.
Deplorable, actually.
This is where dreams go to die.
Dreams
were created in Varric sewers, and this is where they go to die.
It is an abomination, dude.
Yeah.
They really fucked up.
I will say the redwood trees look pretty beautiful now, but that's beside the point.
They look like giant penises, but yeah.
Well, okay, what tree doesn't if you really squint? You know?
If you really want it to look like a penis, you'll make it look like a penis, yeah.
Yeah. So that's my pitch for the direction of the game.
I think that's beautiful.
I think that I don't think there's a future for RuneScape 5 years from now. I don't know. It just seems like, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to see, because you're right. Let me just ask you briefly, what are your thoughts on Sailing and Ruinous Powers, the new prayer book coming out? Does that excite you or does that scare you?
Oh, I could go, and I could go off about prayers. I think that's stupid. What? No, who likes the mechanic of prayers in this game? Like, who actually thinks it's fun to click around 7 times in a super laggy interface off to the side of your screen before clicking back in your normal game window? That's not fun.
I kind of like it, I'll be honest. I think it's just good nostalgia, but yeah.
Bro, like,
anyway,
I enjoy it the way that it is enough. I don't want more. I don't want to be prayer book swapping. I don't want to be managing another fucking like switch at my player-owned house.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I don't think that is.
Have you just seen what it looks like? It doesn't even look old school. It just looks like, and I know that's purely nostalgia based. Like, we're so used to.
No, it's not. That's not. No,
I think it might be.
I think that's a fair criticism to say it's not. Old school RuneScape. Like, what the fuck? I'm gonna put a lightsaber in Diablo 2 and then be like, well, fucking suck it up. It's the future. No, you're not. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't look right.
You're right.
And so if they're putting shit in the game that I'm looking at, I'm thinking, what the hell is this? This is not a dark medieval fantasy point-and-click adventure game icon. This is a fucking Sonic Adventure 2 Battle La La Land like Nintendo Switch icon. I don't know. I think it's a totally.
I call it
totally
Toontown.
fair criticism.
I just call it
fucking
Toontown.
Toontown, bro. It's a totally fair criticism, and I'm not even one of the like. I've definitely been a fan of all the update. Like, I love that they're coming out with new quests. I love that they're coming out with new raids. I love that they're coming out with new content. Not the kind of player to say, well, we should have just stopped at the old school and stayed at. No one would be playing the game, obviously.
Yeah.
I want a RuneScape 4. I'm not against new. But new doesn't mean like, let's really fucking change it. Look at Gen 12 Pokemon. They look like dog shit. Bro, you know what doesn't look like dog shit? There's a mod for Pokemon. Shit. I watched a YouTuber named Point Crow. So go to his YouTube channel and look up this video where he played a mod about where you can fuse any 2 Pokemon and you get another Pokemon. And the crazy thing about it is all the fusions look way better and more Pokemon-like than the last 4 generations of Pokemon.
Damn.
Way better. Like even these weird abominations of like a Ponyta meets a coughing. It comes out looking like this cool kind of thing that looks like a Pokemon. And what do I mean by looks like a Pokemon? I don't fucking know, but I can look at it and I can say yes or no.
Yep.
And when I look at the new gen of Pokemon, it does not look like that and I hate it. And so I don't care if you think there needs to be ruinous prayers in the game. It does not look right. It looks stupid.
It doesn't.
It's right. Gen 12 Pokemon stupid.
You know what? You've had some very base takes today. I appreciate it. I love it. Yeah, it's...
And sailing, if it's anything... I hope the devs have the heart that Bodhi does, and I hope they go watch his ramble on it. I think his pitch was really cool. It seems impossibly difficult to pull off, though.
It'll be a mess. I think it'll be a mess. I think if they give it enough care and they give it enough time, I think it will be something that's really enjoyable in the game. But I think I don't want to be a pessimist, but I really think the release is going to be pretty messy.
I'm very pessimistic I have very low expectations for the release of Sailing.
Yeah. I'm excited because it is something that it will completely change the game. I mean, nobody's going to have a max cape. I mean, that's...
Also, I don't know if they've talked about this, but they need to not tell the players anything about it.
You're right.
Can we please get some mystery back in the game?
That's so important.
Like, we need to be able to hop in as a player and discover something. I don't want spreadsheets. I don't want drop tables. I don't want fucking everybody bitching about the update before it even releases.
You're right.
That's
important.
Just release the thing and don't say a word about it. When they released construction, like the day before, they were like, hey, something big's coming tomorrow. And then everyone logged in and there was a new skill. And it was construction that completely changed the game. So, am I saying they need to do that? No, but somewhere in between.
It would be building trust first, which they were they were building the trust. I think the trust has been kind of plateaued. I don't think it's necessarily dropping, but it's plateaued. I was gaining trust in Jagex to the point where I would have actually trusted them with a completely blind, pretty big update. I still get nervous about it because it seems like if you put something into the game, it never gets taken out if it was a mistake. That's the scary part.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, you're right. They're pretty loath to be like, whoopsies.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like if they were, like you said, if they were to just really, if we had passionate devs that were like, they understand the game and we trust them. Like, dude, fucking send something that's amazing and just don't even say anything about it.
Yeah.
But it would have to be that trust and knowing that dev or devs are passionate about it and understand old school, which, would be rare.
If there's one thing that made old school RuneScape and Super Smash Bros. Melee and Diablo 2 and StarCraft Brood War and all these other amazing games great, it's the fact that the devs sat around and before they did anything, they asked a whole bunch of random people what kind of game they should make. That's what really made it great. Is they totally outsourced all of their... If you can't tell, I'm being very sarcastic here. I really think that they just need to try and make something that they really care about and really like.
You're right. That is very important. Nine Rain, I have had an absolute pleasure talking to you today. This has
been great, man.
Yeah, this has been amazing. I'm definitely going to have to get you back on again.
I accept,
All right, guys, down in the description, be sure to follow Nine Rain on his Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. Anything else, King?
I don't really do anything else, bro.
Okay.
That's it.
Those 3 down there, guys. Go drop them a follow for me on all 3. And also, if you guys are enjoying the podcast and you want to support it, down in the description, there's also a Patreon link. Feel free. You'll get your name on the title screen. And Nine Rain, any last words? This was amazing.
No, man, no last words. I think we've said enough. Thank you for having me. I had a great time, man.
Thank you for watching. Next week, we will be getting 2 J-mods on the cast. And I'm not going to spoil it. You know what? Maybe I'll spoil it. It's not fully set in stone, but we are going to be getting Mod Aiza and Mod Sween on the cast together, which I'm very, very excited for. It's been a minute since we've had J-mods on.
Damn, bro. That's sick.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. All right.
Podcast I'll actually listen to. Sorry, I had to.
All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Nine Rain, thank you very much once again. And guys, we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.